let's get rolling. Switch this over, flip this thing. All right, everybody. I think let's see what happens. Oh, I gotta do something real quick. All right, let's get going. Come on, everybody. Ready to do a thing. And start the thing over. All right. Come on. Okay, 3, so I wonder what this button does. Oh, yeah, it does that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Boy, did we have a contentious morning. So many people on edge of the thing and the thing. And can you imagine me having a strong opinion about something that I fucking stand by? Imagine, if you will, a situation where a person says what they mean and sticks with it. It's weird, I know. In this day and age, it's curious when you actually see it happens, especially when most of our politics are eaten up by this fucking knucklehead saying random shit outside of a courtroom because, we'll get to them in a minute. Is it this one? Nope, that's not her. Yeah, we got a bunch of people today. Remember this knucklehead? Again, it's almost forgivable that people are kind of all over the goddamn map. Oh, she was very mad. And it's a terrible thing that's happening to me. It's almost understandable that a lot of people think that other people's opinions, especially those that they interact with mostly on a digital level, are malleable, are, watery and not backed up by any kind of ethical, moral, or deep conviction, right? It's understandable why after years of this, because you've seen the sort of, you've been fed a steady diet of both siderism, and then you've also seen people like this knucklehead come on the scene, and you know full well if he knows what he's talking about, he's lying, and if he talks like he knows what he's talking about, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And so there's this, you're fed a constant diet of people who are duplicitous about everything, whether they're being forthright or not. So it's understandable that you would think that when people come to have a level of conviction in their voice and in their presentation about something they believe, that, a couple days later they might feel differently. I'm not going to. You're talking to the guy who stayed up all night with you during the election and said he's going to lose when everybody else was like, I don't know, it could go either way. I stayed up all night. I streamed all night. Do you understand me? This is who you're dealing with. I love you and welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. And hello, by the way, chat room. I just want to say hi. How are you? Mike Lindell needs to be convicted. Mike Lindell's already, it's honest to God, Mike Lindell going to jail is going to fix nothing. Watching Mike Lindell burn every last dime he has at the altar of Donald Trump and fucking Lindell TV, that's a good time. Also, by the way, Mike Lindell, somebody was like convicted for stupidity. For the record, he's not just stupid. He's also mean-spirited and an asshole. But still not, hell, if that was a crime, some of you in the chat room who I actually like could have gone to jail a long time ago for some of the things you've said. And you know who you are. We've all had windows of mean-spirited asshole in our life, and that shouldn't end up with, you being locked up. So just consider yourself warned. Now, Lumpy Pillow is not a good prison name. No. And so thanks, Cat Cookie. I try. You're a mean man, Real Bill. Or who I'm going to refer to from this point on as Sweet William. Just deal with it. So, anyways, yes. So, meanwhile, Trump came out of court. This is 2 hours ago. Rigged. It's rigged. Everything is rigged. The world is rigged against me. Oh no. Can we deal with some of his silliness before we get into the sort of the deeper, harsher issues of the day? I think it'll be fun. This is like a walk down lollipop lane compared to the troubles that are in the world that the adults are fucking handling. Watching this Nimrod just kind of go, I'm a boo-boo, I don't like is I gotta say, it's refreshing. It's adorable compared to the experience that most of us are seeing on the nightly news. Here we go.
First Senator, we're going to have to interrupt you for a moment.
You gotta stop for a second because Donald Trump's about to preach. Come on.
We apologize. We're going to go straight to former President Donald Trump, who's speaking at the courthouse here in New York City.
The government got caught in vicious lies.
Vicious lies. The government got caught in vicious lies. Such as?
Vicious lies.
Okay, never mind. Just say it twice, right?
About appraisals and about values, because the values are very conservative. And we told you the statement is conservative compared to the real values, and that's come out.
No, it hasn't.
Plus, as you probably watched, they have a disclaimer in there, meaning...
I'm full of shit. I'm going to use the same disclaimer. I should have put that at the beginning of my presidency. Like that whole thing about Mexico paying for it. Do your own due diligence. Go down to Mexico and ask the cartels if they're going to chip in via the taxes. To ask them to their face. And, of course, you will end up a mulch, I think they call it, on a garden. And the whole getting out of Afghanistan thing, I'm going to punt the fuck out of that. And something in that disclaimer, we have to put something in about Infrastructure Week because I became a fucking joke.
You could look at it in a lot of different ways, but...
Just to see if it's a boy or a girl, or...
It means go out and get your own analysis, do your own analysis, and everybody that's seen it, they said they've never seen a clause like that.
He's repeating this one. By the way, his little I'm full of shit clause, do your own research. They also came in with this, attached to it was Mazars or one of these other organizations. I forget the name of it. The other appraiser he had, they faked one. They made a fake appraisal and attached it saying, oh yeah, it's worth every dime they say it is. So he's like, mine might be full of shit, but do your own diligence. And here's this other company and that you know and you trust. And there you go. So
go out and do due diligence to the banks. The banks came in, as you know, Deutsche Bank came in. He was their witness and he was a great witness for us. They said they were very happy. The loan was paid off. There were no defaults. There were no deficiencies.
Yeah, it's weird. We're all backed with Russian funds. Curious that. What'd you say?
There was absolutely nothing. And I will tell you, what they've done here, the Attorney General sitting inside, spending her whole day here, day after day after day, when people are being murdered all over the streets, the sidewalks of New York.
Well, which is it? I mean, honestly, certainly some of it's got to be happening in the subways and in the apartment buildings and stuff. I watch Law and Order. I know how this goes.
Violent crime.
Okay, all right. So you're saying these murders are violent? I see. There's no wave jazz murders happening where somebody is being snuffed out with a giant pillow while Kenny G plays in the background. I don't know. Rocks, people punching, knife, gun, knife, gun. This is, by the way, the guy who said he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose a supporter is complaining that murder's easy to get away with in New York.
And no business is...
Which it isn't, by the way.
...going to move into New York. They used a statute on me that's never been used, not once.
Well, see, the reason they're using it on you is because all the other people that are guilty of it, and there are plenty, are smarter about how they do it. They're not as ham-handed, fucked up, and dumb. See, the reason it's being used on you is because it was so narrowly written to protect, in many ways, the giant economic industry of New York City, that you're the first guy dumb enough to break this law in a way that's easily caught. Congratulations, numbnuts.
It's never been used for anything like this. And they used it on me where I don't get a jury, I don't get anything.
Yeah, I don't get anything. I don't get days of witnesses and my own lawyers, and I don't get to do depositions. and I don't get discovery, and all I get is a judge, and he just sits there and tells me I'm an asshole. It's just, I have to sit there and take it for 6 hours a day with one break for lunch with no fish delight, and I sit there and I don't get anything. I don't get pee breaks. I have to poo-poo in my own pants. I have to sit here I have to, excuse you, don't interrupt. I have to,
We have no rights whatsoever.
he says outside a court of law where he is getting due process. No rights whatsoever. This motherfucker is guilty as shit, and he can drag this fucking nonsense on for days.
Any company coming to New York would be crazy because it's a setup. There's a
Well, any, company, like, in air quotes, like mafia.
rigged trial. We have a hostile group of people. We have a very hostile judge. I hate to say it. We have
Do you really?
a very, very hostile judge.
Oh.
And I think everybody knows that, and we see that. But the good thing is we have all of the evidence on our side. They have nothing.
Yeah, they got nothing. I don't even know why they brought the case. It's funny that the judge must be hostile, or you'd have thrown this shit out early on, because there's nothing. I mean, there's that whole thing where, the appraisal company said they didn't actually make that appraisal, the one you were attaching to your appraisal and your statement of financial circumstances or whatever it was. And you're, they're like, we didn't write that. That's a forgery. They had that. But other than that, they've got, your own employees going, oh yeah, we were totally full of shit. But yeah.
And it's a case that should have never been brought. I just read many, many articles.
Yeah, sure you did. You've read many, many articles. Suddenly he's Alex Jones.
Saying this case is a disgrace to our nation.
Really? They all just use the exact same language you use? That's weird. It seems to me that you're, maybe, this might be a reach on my part, but it seems to me you're just reading articles that quote you and only reading the part where you are quoted. And it's the same quote over and over. Fuck me. What do I know?
It's a disgrace to New York and New York State, and that's exactly what it is. It's a total disgrace.
He should use the word disgrace more, I think. You think? What do you think, chat room? I think disgrace has legs. I think it's a very moving word. And it's funny because people aren't disgraced that much anymore. In the age of cancel culture, that's what disgrace used to be, I guess. People would be disgraced. You would fall out of grace with the public at large. Not a lot of disgrace going on anymore. Yeah, very few things are disgraceful, I will say. It's almost like an old-fashioned, old-timey word.
We will be here tomorrow, as you know.
Uh-huh.
To have the big.
Really? You don't have a giant rally in Iowa of 36 people in front of a bunch of hay bales where we hear like 9 claps while you speak? You're not busy? Well, that's lucky, I guess. He's apparently going to be in the room.
Golf tournament at Doral, which I own, and I was going to go to it, but
Oh, motherfucker. Boo-hoo.
I find this very interesting, and so I may or may not be here. I'm not sure.
I might go to the golf tournament, or I might show up at court, but this is disgraceful, and I have no rights. I'm a man without rights, except I have the right to either come and watch this take place and face my accusers, or go watch a golf tournament. That's not so much a right as what's the word? It's a word that people use. They bandy it about these days a lot. It starts with privilege. That's what it is. There we go.
Would like to go to Doral and watch.
God damn. I would like to go watch some golf, but I'm not allowed.
Here I am like an idiot.
What an asshole. Good Lord.
It's a tournament. It's a tournament. It's the.
Oh, is that what it happens? Is that how golf tournaments are they? There's some sort of competitive golf circumstance going on?
The big final tournament of the year.
Oh, that one. Shit, I would go then if it's the big final tournament of the year.
That it would have been nice to have seen it. It'll be on
But then, of course, I got to sit here and have no rights and let the judge tell me that I'm an asshole.
television. We'll see what happens. But this is a disgrace. Should have.
Don't point at yourself when you say this is a disgrace. I know you're trying to point behind you. You might want to turn your elbows out. So, yeah. This working? This, no. Try to do this. It's hard. Okay.
Never, ever,
Ever
to happen. And I'll tell you, another thing that would have never happened is
Israel and Palestine and fucking Ukraine and Taiwan and China and blah, 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 blah.
the attack on Israel.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
If I were president,
We'd still be engulfed in COVID, so nobody would be attacking anybody because Hamas would be afraid to lose fighters with COVID rolling across the globe.
Israel would not have been attacked. It was viciously attacked. It would not have been attacked.
They would have just gone, I'm scared.
Ukraine would not have been attacked. You take a look at what's going on throughout
And we would have stayed in Afghanistan then, I guess.
the world. The world right now.
Oh, I guess Newsmax decided to go 100. No, just fuck you then? That's weird. Did they cut him out? What happened? Hold on. That literally is new. I guess even it's sad when even Newsmax is like, fuck this. Well, maybe we'll give it a different angle on it. He continued. Yeah, this might be it. Okay. This is a longer one. Maybe this is the whole thing. Hold on. He's saying Biden in Israel giving money to Palestinians. Yes, to the people, not Hamas. Like food aid and that kind of stuff is. I don't know if you know this, but as Americans, we're for that because, yeah, Mr. Trump, by the way, ended the Obama rules of engagement for drone strikes and stuff as soon as he got in, and the number of civilian deaths in the first year of the Trump administration went up 80%, and there were more people killed in that year, civilians killed by American drone strikes in Trump's first year than all 8 years of Obama. More than that, more than all 8 years. Now, if you're going to say one is better than the other, or Trump's he didn't start any wars, and which is bullshit, but whatever. He handed the wars over to the Wagner Group and other folks so that they could just because he figured we'll cut a deal with them after they clear out all the civilians. You can go ahead and believe that, but you'd be a lunatic. So here we go.
Trump
All they're doing is asking questions. It's almost
all they're doing is asking questions.
like they're just filling in the blanks because it's a rigged trial. Totally.
Does he know how trials work? He has to. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's only done depositions at this point, and he thinks at the trial point they just read shit from it. They're just asking questions. They're bringing up witnesses, and they don't stand there and tell the witness what to say, which is what we do with our witnesses. They just go up there and ask them a bunch of questions. Questions, quite frankly, I don't want to hear the answers to.
Rigged trial. You look at the record of the judge. You look at his attitude.
You look at my lady in red.
You look at his statements. He convicted us before we had a day in court.
This is the 80% of shit that you said you were cleared of.
We were convicted. He said, you're guilty before we had a day in court. We didn't even get here yet. And now we're finding out that everything is perfect. It's actually perfect, except on their side. They value Mar-a-Lago at $18 million. And they say it's worth maybe 100 times more than that. Let's say 50 to 100 times more.
No, it's not worth $1.8 billion, fuckwad. It is not.
But they value it at 18. And then the Attorney General backs it up. Because she convinced him that it was worth $18 million. And everybody throughout the world is laughing at it. It's so.
Yeah, well, then sell it to one of those people and then buy it back for $50,000 more. It'll only cost you $50,000 and you'll have made your point, and that'll bring the court, the whole thing to a close. Have them write you a check for $1.8 billion and just call one of your buddies, one of your super rich buddies. Go, hey, Want to be want to scare off the New York Attorney General and everybody? We could do it. It'd be hilarious. You'll make 50 grand on the deal. How's that work? You buy Mar-a-Lago. We'll do a deed transfer. We'll sit there. We'll do it live on camera. I'll sign the deed over to you for $1.8 billion. You put that in. I'll transfer it into a bank account, and then I'll transfer the money back at you, $1.8 and $50,000, and then there'll be no sales tax on it because you only made a profit of 50, and then I'll return the sales tax to you on a loan basis. You'll do that as like a refurbishment fee that we'll put in the contract that, is if I buy it back in a certain amount of time, you'll pay, I'll pay you this extra money. That'll pay off the tax. We'll just work that part of it out because it's totally worth it. And I could probably sell it in a couple of years for $2 billion, maybe $15 billion. That's what, 17 billion bajillions.
Ridiculous. But this is what we go through because they want to keep me here instead of Iowa, New Hampshire,
Doral, so I could go watch golf,
South Carolina, and lots of other great places. They want me to be here. It's a disgrace what's happening.
Why? I don't. You're there, and the crowds when you go to these other places that you're talking about are very small.
It's a rigged trial.
I got to say those words, and they taught me when I did The Apprentice to make pointy fingers on the words you want to accent. Rigged trial.
The whole thing is rigged.
Oh, is it rigged? The whole thing is rigged. I see. So like a Cirque du Soleil show or like one of those sex swings.
This should be in the commercial division where the judges understand it. Will you appeal? Because there's no understanding here. They don't understand it.
Yeah, you see, you can always understand what you don't understand.
Well, no, I think he does understand it, and that's...
Well, then I guess you should have said what you just said.
That's what makes it much worse. This should be in the commercial division, but most importantly, it should have never been brought because we did nothing wrong. And again, we have a financial statement, but the real value is higher than the financial statement, so there's no fraud. We have a disclaimer.
And also, that's his... This is a good shot, though. The real value he's talking about is yet another exaggerated bullshit fantasy number. He thinks the real value of Mar-a-Lago is 50 to 100 times $18 million. It's $1.8 billion. He thinks that's the real value. It isn't.
Clause called the 100% disclaim.
Is that what it's called? That's good. So I've always wondered, what are these things called again? I mean, look, I'll slow down if this is too much for everybody and there are too many financial details here. A lot of this can be very like economy, 302. I'm just saying.
We have a disclaimer clause called the 100% disclaim.
Is it? That's what it's called? Do you wear your big boy pants when you use the 100% disclaim? No one calls it that. No one calls it that. No grown person. No one. No one calls it that. That's just fucking stupid. No one. It's not written in giant block letters at the top of it. That's not what it's called. Ya putz.
And that means that buyer beware. You can say whatever you want to do.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
You read the statement, but you can't assume anything. You have to go.
Yeah, don't assume I'm telling you the truth because look at me. It's called the 100% comb-over clause.
Own research. It says do your own due diligence. So this is why we're here. And also, we were brought into a statute, as I said before, that was never used before.
Yes, we expected you to repeat yourself. That's pretty normal. I mean, I guess did you learn that from that little book of Hitler speeches that you kept on your nightstand, according to your ex-wife? The whole thing about repeat. Got to keep repeating the propaganda.
Never once was it used before. So we're being brought under a statute by this horrendous attorney general just a horrendous person.
Horrendous. Horrendous is a good word. Horrendous.
Driving people out of New York. And again, any business that comes into New York or New York City is crazy. And frankly, you're crazy to stay here.
You should come down to Florida where they'll let you get away with this shit.
Because these laws are rigged against you.
He had made my comment.
And here's a case, you can look at any developer in New York and my...
No, don't. They're all engaged in the same criminal bullshit. They're all now, ever since the 70s, they've been slowly moving away from it, except this dickhead who decided to double down.
Statement is better from the standpoint of accuracy than any statement that you'll look at.
He's basically just saying, like, look at all these other guys that I work with and I go to parties with. They're way more criminal than I am, and all of them are like, you motherfucker. Don't make me.
In any statement, it's a rigged deal, and it's very bad, and they're doing it for...
It's a rigged deal, and it's very bad. Yes, this is a grown man, not a kid talking about, a vase he broke.
Election interference because I'm beating Biden by a lot.
Oh,
and I'm beating the Republicans. That one, I'd never say anything's over, but we're up by 60 points. 6-0. 60. Think of that.
Yeah, you were winning your party 96-4, and now you're down by 30 points. Yeah, we know how it works. More than 30 points, sorry.
So we're beating Biden and we're beating the Republicans, and I got to spend my time with these ridiculous things in court. I
think you got it. Your only choice. You got to join with RFK Jr. and run as an indie ticket and show them how it's done, man.
Remember, the financial statement, is lower than the number. I could have made it much higher. I could have had these financial statements if I wanted much higher. I didn't even include brand value.
Well, I think that's a good idea since people are literally taking your name off of buildings.
And brand value is tremendous.
Oh, it's great. It's fabulous. It's not as good as mine, but, I haven't been convicted in a New York court and named under legal terms as a rapist. Like you have. You fucking creep.
And when you look at companies like Coca-Cola and so many other companies, brand value is the biggest part of their net worth.
Yeah, but also, Coke, when every time you open the can, it's the same shit. It's sugar water. It's got a flavor. It's consistent. You never open a Coke can and it's empty. Certainly not full of, I guess, Pepsi would be the thing. Whereas most of the time, that's what your brand is. You're just slapping your fucking name on cans of Coke and going, I'm as good as Coca-Cola. You printed stickers and you put them on Coke. This is Trump Cola. It tastes just as good as Coca-Cola, but it's Trump Cola. It's actually Coca-Cola in the can. But no, look at the can. Look at the brand name on the can. There's a sticker that says Trump. That's mine. It's like peeing in the corners, which is what I hear real Trump Cola actually tasted like. That's how we made the special. That's what it tasted like.
Bigger than anything else. I didn't even include it. This is a rigged deal. It's a rigged court. And I'll tell you, it's a disgrace for the state of New York.
We're all very worried. Yeah. People are still trying to kick in questions.
I want to maybe ask a question about Israel, I understand. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President. Israel is top of mind. You said you were thinking of going. What are you going to do when you're there? Are you going to meet with...
Well, I really want to go, but they're keeping me here. And if I do get one free day, I want to go watch golf at Doral. Didn't you hear me earlier? It's the final big tournament of the year, okay? I recognize something's happening in Israel right now, but I would love to go over there and whisper my plan. I wouldn't tell you. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I cannot tell you what I would say, but what I would say would fix all of this in 12.4 parsecs.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, and what would you say to him regarding gospel?
I would say I don't like you because you said I lost the election, which I didn't do because rigged election.
Well, the first thing I think you should do is let them figure out what's happening.
Great. Let them. Somebody write this down. Shit. And here I am without a notebook. Right. This is just, isn't this like, ain't this a bitch? Okay, sorry. I got to back that up because we're never going to be able to, this is too important. Say this part again. Okay, so first part of the plan.
The first thing I think you should do is let them figure out what's happening. They're fighting a war.
I see. Okay, so yeah, you got a Sharpie, Kath? Write this down. So let them figure out what's happening because they're fighting a war. And I suppose, what do you expect in terms of a response? I'm expecting a spit take and them to laugh in your fucking face, or so. I'm sorry, I interrupted. There's probably, you know what? I'm jumping the gun. After they figure out what's happening and that they're at war, which they may not know. You might want to leave now and go tell them if you can't get him on the line. Maybe he's not, is BB not taking your calls anymore? She's not. Okay.
And I'd go if it was helpful, but I think if you...
Yeah, it's probably not. Yeah, I would say that if anything, you going there, the opposite of helpful. Yeah, it's pretty sure.
Take your eye off the ball. They can't be worrying about me and fighting a war. They have to fight and even having...
Wait. Back the fuck up. What? Wait. This motherfucker thinks he would go over there and talk to Netanyahu and they would go, how's your legal thing going? How's that whole... You self-involved motherfucker. What? Jesus Christ. Listen.
Let them figure out what's happening. They're fighting a war. And I'd go if it was helpful, but I think if you take your eye off the ball, they can't be worrying about me and fighting a war. They have to fight, and even having Biden over there right now, I don't think it's a very constructive thing.
Oh, I see. He means that they're worried about his safety. I got news for you, asshole. They're not concerned. No. We sent 2,000 troops over there basically as a push force in case, so that when Biden goes over there, he's completely safe. We didn't send over to put troops on the ground. The whole we're calling up 2,000 people. That's about how many you have when the president goes to a place that's dangerous. Shut the fuck up and move on. But he's like, I don't want to have to worry about me. And, because I have a very big rider. They'd have to let me golf. And...
Because they're in the middle of a war. They're fighting a war. That's a war.
Is it a war, though?
And it should have never happened. It would have never happened with me. Iran's leading it, and it wouldn't have happened with me.
Why? You would have just given them whatever they wanted?
And it didn't, by the way. It never did it?
Also, it never did it? By the way, remember how everybody was like, don't do what you did with Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, all that kind of stuff. He's like, fuck that, who cares? They always said there'd be a big fucking fight if anybody did that, and then, of course, that's basically, you could track it to the day when Hamas was like, okay, let's bullshit them and plan an attack.
I was there a long time, 4 years. It didn't, and it never came.
It did. It was a long time. His 4 years in office was a long time.
Close. That this happened is shocking. That they allowed this to happen is shocking.
Who? What the fuck do you mean? They allowed this to happen?
Iran would have never done that to me. And they were all set. They would have had a deal. I would have said 2 weeks from the election, I would have had a deal with Iran.
Why didn't you have the deal anyways? What deal? Even if you lost the election, why you're still president for fucking 2.5 months?
Not to have a nuclear weapon. They would not have had a nuclear weapon. And that would have happened quickly.
How? What the fuck do you talk about? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What are you going to sit there and say, okay, here's how it's going to work. I brought a bunch of people. We're sitting down because you got to be able to sit down and discuss things. And the guys that I brought with me are just going to shoot you guys, okay? So, sorry. That's how it's got to work. And I'm going to go have a fish to light.
You would have never seen this happening. It's being led by Iran. And you would have never seen this happen. You wouldn't have seen Ukraine happen either. All right. You had something about the fact that Biden is sending $100 million to the Palestinians.
Oh, okay. So they've got their setup questions for him. This is his ham-handed version of feed me softball thing so I can say my talking points.
Yes, Mr. President.
Nobody was asking that question.
Yeah, everybody was asking that. The same guy who was here to ask me this. The guy from my campaign.
What? Go ahead.
Well, what do you think about that monetary fund?
I think right now it's totally inappropriate. It's so inappropriate.
So inappropriate. Why would you want money to go to help evacuate citizens and pay Egypt to allow them to cross the border when you could they're all trapped right there. You could just do what Hamas did to the Jews, but just go ahead and do that to them and call it a fucking day.
He'll be doing that right now. He's over in Israel and he's giving money to the Palestinians. I think it's very inappropriate. Thank you very much.
It's very inappropriate. Yeah, he's out there handing out $100 bills. That's what Biden's doing to Palestine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you be back tomorrow by any chance?
Probably not. Probably we're having a very big tournament, professional golf tournament.
This motherfucker. Jesus Christ. I'd go over there to Israel. They're at a war. It's a war. This never would happen, but it's a war. I'd go over there if it was helpful, whatever, but I have to be here, except I'm not. I'm going to go to the golf tournament. It's a very big tournament. And I understand Israel, Palestine, Israel, blah, blah, blah. But golf.
Yes, sir. At Doral, so probably not.
Jesus Christ. You're watching House Sparks Megaworldwide, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. God damn it. By the way, don't forget to like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. And let's see, okay, I got that, I think. Now, well, what can we say? This is how bad it is over at Marianne 2024. Is that she's on Roseanne's podcast. That when you get the call, we're not going to do all of this because why the fuck would you? Good Lord. But you can, this is the kind of, by the way, this is the kind of situation that gets you to fire your entire comms team. In normal politics, this is where you go, all right, fuck you guys, get out of here. You know, when they walk in and they're like, we got you booked on what? A podcast. Okay, those are cool. Roseanne, the fuck out of my office. Empty your desk. Someone will escort you out of here. Lord Almighty. So this is about Citizens United was the death knell to American democracy. Okay, first of all, Citizens United was a huge deal before social media. Now that social media is as big as it is and can reach as many people as it does, and God forbid ChatGPT and all this other stuff, the cost of actually doing massive, like direct messaging to voters has just gone in the toilet. So it's nickels compared to what used to be millions, okay? So the idea that this is still relevant or a fight worth fighting, I got to be honest. There was a period where we need to get money out of politics because it was the way you guaranteed that, ads on television versus, not having any or billboards or shit like that. None of that matters on the scale, especially with the targeted voters these days. The main way you're reaching people is through their phones, and it doesn't cost a fucking dime. It's, beyond what, the regular posting that everybody else pays for Facebook ads and the same shit like that. So the idea that somehow it has the same weight it did when it passed is absurd. People keep saying this as if it's still 2004. And I find it hilarious. But here we go. She'll explain it to us.
I want your opinion on this, honestly, because, this, I don't know if I just want to hear what you have to say about it. You, well, I won't ask you that way. I'll say when I was interviewed on the Jimmy Kimmel show and he said, why did you, why are you so this and that? And I said, well, I just feel like the Democrat Party moved so far to the left that it just fell off the cliff and left me behind. And I'm
yeah, but in all, with all due respect to what Jimmy Kimmel's actual fucking question was, and your kind of half-assed remembrance of that exchange, you think Democratic Party elites, the people who run the party, who are, by the way, voted in by their voters, or they wouldn't have access to that kind of thing, or are picked by the party itself. It's not, no one's crowned. It's not some sort of weird picking a pope situation where they go into a hidden room, they're voted and balloted on, all this stuff. You believe that those people are eating the livers of African babies because they taste sweeter than the livers of American babies because of Roundup. So
exactly the same as I always was, but it went so far into the minority opinion that it marginalized the majority of its own party. Mm-hmm. You must feel something about that. Or how do you feel about me saying that?
Well, you asked two different questions. How do I feel about what you said? And you also asked, what do I feel about you saying it? I feel about you saying it, we're having a conversation. What you said, though.
How do you feel about Hitler's speeches? Well, I'm listening to words, and I don't really speak German, and I can read the transcription at the bottom, and words are passing across the bottom of the screen, and sometimes that happens if you're watching, YouTube at Donald Trump's house.
I have a different perspective, but how I feel about you saying it is fine. But my different perspective,
except that it's lunacy,
which I appreciate that you asked with a genuine, respect, is that my problem with the Democratic Party
is that they move too far to the right. Gee, it's almost like both of these ladies are fucking lunatics at different ends of the spectrum. It's fantastic. Why deal with the complexity of multiple issues when you can just go, I think they went too far that way. Well, I think they went too far that way. I think we're both going too far this way. My goodness. If I only had a brain.
Is almost the opposite of what you said.
Directly the opposite. It's directly the opposite.
My problem with the Democratic Party is that they have been...
Where'd the cigarette come from all of a sudden? Just, oh God, I love saying what I said about the fucking left went to the left, too far to the left, and they were left out in the left.
Become too beholden, the establishment elite.
Oh God, two of them right out. Establishment and elite. Do not do a drinking game during this clip or you will die of alcohol poisoning.
Has become too beholden to its...
Never say never. Come on, Hal, the Dems moved right for 30 years? No, they have not. No party that goes from their position on abortion in the 80s and the Hyde Amendment and all that kind of stuff to where we are now, or gay marriage to where we are now, or from creating the ACA based on, how they felt in the 80s, has moved to the fucking right. It hasn't happened. That's ridiculous. Because you think they should move further to the left does not mean they are moving right. And either way, we're not even talking about the scale of how many degrees or what slight direction and any of that. Both of these knuckleheads think, Roseanne thinks the Democratic Party is run by cannibal communists. And Marianne the other Ann, because we got Rose and Mary. Mary Ann thinks they've gone so far to the right that they're to the right of Raytheon executives who don't live in the country. Please.
Corporate donors, which is my same problem with the Republican Party, by the way. And that goes back to what we were saying. The problem is the same. My problem is that they, when you come to big oil, I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans, they fall in line.
Because you have to innovate your way out of this problem. And everyone, for the most part, the vast majority of vehicles are run on petroleum products. We are surrounded. Does anybody want to count the number of fucking things besides her jacket that contains petroleum products? Both plastics and rayons and like the fucking frame of that picture, the fact that that's plastic and not glass in that frame, the fucking thermometer. She's in front of the bathroom at this hotel. Which, I mean, you want a number? Yeah, the lipstick she's wearing, the number of fucking things she has that require petroleum-based products. And none of the people who are saying end petroleum now are doing with plastics in their life what vegans do with leather. And if you want to fucking impress me, give that shit a try. And again, unless you want to open a gigantic fucking glass factory to replace all the plastics that we use in the medical industry. And then you want to then talk to me about the cost of medicine and medical treatment in the country. We have to innovate our way out of this.
When it comes to the defense industry, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, they fall in line.
That's her son, by the way. He's a complete lunatic. He also agrees that Democrat elites eat baby livers in Africa because they taste sweeter, because they don't use Roundup, because they don't use chemical fertilizers in Africa, because this guy's that fucking dumb.
That's the problem. The far left stuff that's the extreme.
Which I don't even like saying.
Is not.
But they've managed to marginalize the vast middle of their own party, don't you think?
See, to me, that goes back to left, right, middle, and to me, all of that is hiding. It's about it's not about any of that to me. That's just people who make me want to roll my eyes. It's just like, whatever, ignore that. Do you know what I mean? That's so
Yes, I know the feeling. When either of you speak and her son speaks, I have that same fucking reflex. My eyes want to roll so hard that I'm afraid they won't come back, and I'll just walk around the rest of my life like this.
Formative. That's so politically correct. That's whatever. But that's not reflected.
That's her trying to suck up to Roseanne, saying politically correct.
In what's really going on. What's really going on here. That none of that is denying people health. None of that is denying people the ability to send their kids to college. In the 1970s, which you and I definitely remember, okay?
Yes, we do.
No, I think Marianne remembers a little more of it than Roseanne does. I think it's debatable how much of anything Roseanne remembers.
The average American worker, whoever thought we'd be nostalgic for the 1970s, right?
When interest rates for buying a house were at 19%.
Things have changed. Okay, in the 19
when we were more beholden to Middle Eastern oil than we are now.
1970s, the average American worker could afford a house.
Right.
The average American worker could afford a car.
Right.
The average American worker could afford a yearly vacation.
Yes, and if you'll recall, those houses were full of flammable plastics and elements that were, the paint had lead in it, and the structure itself was less sound, and they were less efficient in the winter. They didn't hold the heat in the winter and keep cool in the summer. They were the construction on them was fucking balsa wood compared to modern stuff. Also, cars back then had lap fucking seatbelts, didn't have airbags, didn't have GPS. Fucking used cars now are the equivalent, have devices in them. Used cars you can get for $5,000 have shit in them that is the equivalent of Bond cars in the 70s. All right. In our house in Kentucky, one of the rooms for 4 years when we were there had a dirt fucking floor. Because we couldn't afford to build out the floor in that room. It was just the ground. Just kind of like, just looked at it kind of like an interior porch. Okay? Like, think about the windows on your fucking house right now compared to the windows in the 70s. Jesus Christ. They didn't even have safety glass on fucking shower doors. If you fell through a shower door in the 70s, you were cut to fucking ribbons. That's why houses got more expensive. They also got safer because your life had more value. Same thing with cars. We got shoulder fucking straps. We got child seats. They like crumple zones, side impact barriers. Like, yes. Ugh. I swear to fucking God. Yeah, shower doors, curtains, exactly. You had a basement office with a dirt floor? I see you. I know you. Stop acting like you can make a comparison here. Also, she lived in New York in the 70s. Roseanne's probably closer to what I'm expressing if her mythology is true at all.
Right.
The average American couple could afford to send their kids to college.
But not university. No one went to university. There weren't that many universities. There were certainly no digital universities. Nobody could go to fucking college unless they could fucking get there and live there. Bullshit. You act like everybody in the fucking 70s could have sent their kids to college. They just didn't.
And the average American worker, a couple could afford, if they wanted to, for one parent to stay home.
Which is increasingly going to become true again and is already moving in that direction.
That's right.
That's, to me, where we need to be.
Also, no. The average American didn't fucking average American nothing. In the South, most women stayed home because that was the culture of the actual area they were in. And in the cities, everybody fucking worked because you were just ice skating uphill every goddamn day. And it averaged itself out city to country. All you're saying with average is half the people couldn't do any of that shit, and the other half could do more than that. All right. Just bullshit.
Zoning in. And it's because of a $50 trillion transfer of wealth into the hands of a very few people.
No. That $50 trillion of wealth was fucking created out of nowhere. It didn't exist. We're not talking about shit that was in the ground. They didn't find gold. This isn't about oil anymore. The $50 trillion worth of wealth that has been created since the fucking 70s, what little of it that's been in real estate or other material goods or whatever was all invention. The fucking home computer and the internet itself is responsible for more than half of that. That wasn't taken from fucking anybody. That wasn't stolen from fucking people. The fact that you have a computer right now that costs, $800, that's stronger than any computer that ran the fucking NASA mission, is not about, oh my God, they stole my wealth. You could build a fucking business at home now in a way that you never fucking could. That's where that fucking $50 trillion came from. Yes, the pie got bigger. You can talk about actually giving a shit about those that are left behind or those that don't have opportunity without creating this fucking bullshit that they just basically came up and fucking put a mining pick in the top of people's heads and just spooned out the insides of their brains and put it in a jar. and like, we're stealing the brains of the working class. Get the fuck out of here.
That's
Now,
right.
I don't think any political party should feel self-congratulatory right now.
Why? Wait, you think you think what's going on in the United States, even at its worst, is fucking like Yemen? You think that the instability in sections of the world is just accidental, and that the stability that we have in the United States or whatever isn't the process of constant fucking gardening and the battling back and forth? Yes, Easy Heat Network. Yes. Literally dirt poor, I guess, is a great example. The fact that she is surrounded by petroleum products, was driven there more than likely either in an Uber that ran on gas or a Tesla to the hotel she's in, wherever the fuck she is on the campaign trail, and will at every stop have rows of bottled water for her staff and for herself that's all plastic, that's all made from petroleum products, all that shit. Everybody gets there is driven in gas cars, everybody that's leaving. And none of this is about, we need to innovate this. We need a scientific, like an Apollo program, which is exactly what Biden's doing, which is why she's not saying it, but whatever the ass. That, to solve this, instead of, this just shouldn't be, this is bad, this shouldn't be, it's bad. And I blame everyone but my own participation in that system is so fucking lazy.
Right.
In my view of things, a Republican president started it, and no Democratic president has stopped it.
Stopped what? The Afghanistan war? What? Excuse me. Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the fucking, what, you want to talk about the 70s? On the White House, and Ronald Reagan took them down. And it wasn't until Clinton started with small initiatives moving in this direction. That's why, who killed the electric car arcs up during the Clinton administration, right down again when we get a Republican oil man in the fucking White House. And then we get Obama in there. He lays, the Obama-Biden administration lays the seeds for what Biden is doing now. The biggest, greatest push towards renewable energy in the history of humanity. And she's like, they just do whatever their donors want them to do because Exxon's pulling their strings. Shut the fuck up. Stop it. You know how cruel, unethical, and immoral it is to attribute immorality or even to some degree acts of violence to total fucking strangers? You know how awful that is? Those people, they do evil stuff because it's just who they are. I wouldn't do that. Not me. But those people, those are the people that do that. All those people, I don't know, they seem to be actually writing and passing legislation that's moving the ball down the field. It's actually making greater investments in green technology than we've ever fucking seen. No. That's just, I roll my eyes at that. That's just cover, Roseanne. That's just cover. The fuck out of here.
I'm a Democrat, so I feel that the Democrats at least try to have it both ways. At least they...
Shut up.
To me...
So lame. This is so lame.
I'm a Democrat. I believe in Franklin...
citation needed.
Roosevelt's Democratic Party. I believe in a party of...
So you don't believe in the integration of the military? One moment to find out. I need my cursor on my my mouse here. Let's see. Let's see. So, while we're being purists, I guess. Why is this? Why in this? What are you doing, you strange people? Why at the art shows not to desegregate the military. Chose not to. Mm-hmm. I guess, you know, you got to have a standard, I suppose, right? So hold on, I'll move this in so I can see more of you guys. Hi, guys. By the way, I'm not directly shitting on Roosevelt for this particular reason. I'm just, the way she throws it around, it's as if he would have passed some sort of weird purity test and by modern standards, and he absolutely fucking wouldn't. Stop it. Stop holding people in a different yeah, his VP did. That's absolutely right. Which he was Roosevelt was against. Yeah, thank you. Yes, thanks again, Harry Truman, Brother Mason. I should desegregate Chad and Chip. They're thick as thieves. Yeah, no one is pure. This is just silly. But the idea that she talks about him in these kind of deified terms. I'm of this kind of a Democrat. That's what makes me good. So ignore anything that I didn't like about what he did and focus only on the things that you don't like or you don't think are moving fast enough in other fucking people. Joe Biden gives you the most integrated cabinet and the most integrated Supreme Court of any president in fucking history so far, anyways, as best he can. And he's an asshole who works for the establishment and only listens to his donors. Meanwhile, Roosevelt's fucking got light coming out of his ass. Please.
Unequivocal advocacy for the working people of the United States. But
in what way?
Right now, they call it a corporate duopoly. Both parties
Who does?
are owned. Not only, this is what I've seen in my campaign, not only are they owned by corporate interests.
Citation needed.
They are corporate interests.
Well, then how can you be owned by your... I'm enslaving myself. I'm just dirty that way. Put the ball... I'm the world's loneliest BDSM freak. I put in my own ball gag and spank myself. I'm owned and I own... I'm poning myself. The fuck?
Bingo.
Bingo! Oh, God.
Bingo.
There is a political media industrial complex.
Oh, my God. With the industrial complex. A political media industrial complex. Let's see. How can I call the American people dough-headed fucking morons without calling them dough-headed fucking morons to their face? I know. I'll call them gullible saps who are in the control of the military media corporate industrial complex, which is too complex.
And that's why CNN isn't even having me on, even though I'm a declared candidate.
No, it's because you don't chart and you don't add anything valuable to the conversation. And you just might recognize that when, say, Sean Hannity has you on, it's only for your value attacking the president and the Democratic Party and not for whatever ideas or changes you might have, because coming on there and saying it's a uniparty system is the same shit we hear from the maggots.
Even though I'm higher in the polls than most of the people on that Republican debate stage the other night.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but they don't have a sitting president. We already have somebody and he's already running. We're good.
And so I'm not on, MSNBC and CNN do for the Democratic.
By the way, we have come a long way, baby, because as the second coming of Pat Robertson, the sort of California spiritualist version of Pat Robertson running for president as a woman in the modern era, I think that shows progress. Congratulations, everybody, America. You can all just enjoy that for a moment. We've come a long way, baby, and not just because Roseanne's smoking Virginia Slims.
Party, what Fox does for the Republican Party. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. And that's why podcasts like this, independent media, you are independent media. And this.
That's why radical psychotic loners are important to the conversation. You are a radical psychotic loner. Hey, Roseanne, tell her the part about the African baby livers. Tell her Tell them how Hillary Clinton and Hakeem Jeffries eat the livers of African babies. Tell her that part. Marianne, you're going to love this. And by the way, I'm not kidding. Who in the chat was here when she brought this shit up? I have to say, chat room, who was here when we did that clip? We'll probably have to, if we make a clip of this, which we probably will, we should probably put that in the links below. Yeah, you guys were there. Who was there? Yep, dibs on the pancreas. Yeah, there you go. Yes. So you guys remember, I'm not just like, I mean, I can make up a lot of shit. You know how that people go, you can't make this stuff up. I fucking can. I'm a genius. I can make up anything. I just don't. This is actually true. She actually fucking said this when she was talking to that Alex Stein dipshit, I think. Right? He was the guest on that. And even he was like, as nuts and as misogynistic and fucking stupid as that guy was, when she was saying stuff, he was like, oh, maybe it was wrong to walk into this room. He was having one of those, it's a cookbook moments.
This is where we can just have a regular conversation.
Yeah, regular conversation about eating African baby livers because they taste sweeter because they don't use Roundup.
And that's why it's important.
Yeah, ask her. Hey, Marianne, ask her son about that. Ask her about adrenochrome. She fucking have a shirt that says, ask me about adrenochrome.
Yeah, it's great to break through that big old veil of keeping us ignorant and silent.
People
Yes, it's better to be loud and silent. It's not the ignorance.
are in a trance these days.
Say what? We're in a trance these days, are we? Are we? We're that stupid? This is, by the way, you're about to watch, I'm going to replay this moment. About to watch Marianne Williamson make a comment about the people that she is talking to on the trail. That apparently they are thuggishly stupid or hypnotized instead of in disagreement.
Keeping us ignorant and silent.
People are in a trance these days.
Can I ask a question, Marianne? You've kind of said that a few different ways.
Do you think it's because of the African baby livers, or
what do you think is causing this tribalism? If you could point to it.
Besides you and your mom?
Tribalism and the fact that
yeah, that's my word, tribalism. But yeah, you've been saying there's.
Yeah, he made it up. I've never heard that word before. Have you guys heard the word tribalism? I don't know what he's referring to. We'll put a pin in that later. Somebody asterisk that. I don't know.
This thing going on, the media, we're right, left, that we're played with. Like, why do you think it's so different now? Why are you nostalgic for the 70s? And I know.
Because she has eliminated all the negative parts of the 70s, forgotten about them. From Nixon to the Warren Report to fucking OPEC to the Iranian hostage crisis to the myriad of violent interactions, fucking Cold War. She's thrown all that out, and now she's just thinking about how cute it used to be that, Matthew McConaughey used to sit there by the school, that's the great thing about these high school girls. I keep getting older, but they keep seeing the same age. All right.
I know you're talking about corporate interests, but from a conversation.
Yeah, things were better when we had leaded gas and leaded paint. And
Perspective, what do you think is behind it?
Because it's profit-based. So when your mother and I were young, the same company was legally forbidden to own the television station and the radio station. And
okay, so Reagan getting rid of the fairness doctrine.
And the news.
Which, by the way, absolutely had an impact all during the 90s and the beginning of 2000s. But now with social media, has zero fucking impact.
Newspaper. Because the diversity.
Because of cable. Once cable came in, it didn't fucking matter. Once you had satellite in your car, it didn't fucking matter. All the truckers back then, where, they were like, oh, we can't have these guys own all the AM stations as these truckers fucking drive through and they get indoctrinated into the Rush Limbaugh mentality or whatever. Now it doesn't fucking matter. They've got satellite in their fucking trucks. They can just listen to it all the way across. They used to have to fucking, remember back when your mom and I were kids, people used to say, hey, come on back there, give me a 1020 there. Come on, Cooter. This is Poontang Jenny. That is literally the worst handle in the history of CB's. Dang Jenny, what happened? This is what happens when I do Ficus without Ficus. That is so bad. All right. It's so bad.
Of opinion was respected, and it was recognized
No, it wasn't.
that was important for a healthy society.
Bullshit. Most of the AM radio dial was either pop music during part of the day and religious groups the rest of the fucking time who were way more fucking racist than they can get away with now.
And there was something called the Fairness Doctrine. And the
That's right.
Fairness Doctrine meant that you hear opposing views. So Ronald Reagan got rid of the Fairness Doctrine, and then Bill Clinton in
Shepherded in the internet.
1996 with the telecommunications bill, all of the there was this conglomeratization, a few media companies. I'll give you an example. So if we were back, let's say in the 1960s or the 1970s.
When if you lived behind a hill like I did, you didn't have TV at all. I didn't have TV till I was 15 years old, till I moved to Chicago, lived with my dad. Lived in 14. TV, we didn't have a TV.
A reporter would come into their editor and say,
with film,
I have a lead and there's something I want to go investigate. I think that factory.
Were they smoking? They were smoking in this story, right?
Downriver is pouring poison into the river.
Well, then their editor would go, well, fuck it. That's not our problem. We're upriver. Factory, upriver. You're downriver. You don't want to be the reporter. I mean, I'm glad that he cares about the people up. Never mind. Just saying, which way does the river go?
And the editor would say,
that sounds dangerous. If the river ever reverses its course, that could be dangerous.
Get on it. Get on it. Fuck it out. And
yeah, I remember. Yeah, remember the story of Silkwood, where that's how it worked out for her. Karen Silkwood totally wouldn't. Everything with her is all the president's men. Like nobody fucking shut down a story that was bad for whoever ran the fucking town in any particular city. What kind of cartoon idea of the past you fucking have? You out of your fucking mind?
And if it was good investigative journalism,
it was good investigative journalism.
There was a very good chance that reporter might get a Pulitzer Prize.
Or end up in a river.
Okay.
Downriver, of course.
Today, there's a very good chance that the same company that owns the factory owns the newspaper.
That's
yeah. Jesus Christ. This is like the plot of a fucking A-Team episode. That shit happened all the time. Hey, fuckwad. There were all kinds of towns across this country where the newspaper was aligned with the fucking mayor who owned the big farm in town. And if they were poisoning the rivers and stream, they just fucking got away with it. What are you talking about?
right. And owns the prison.
And owns the prison. Which is empty, of course, because no one gets arrested.
Pardon?
And also owns interest in the prisons.
Interest in the they have prison stock. What? This is what I thought. This is what weaponized empathy looks like. This is like two people who actually think they're helping within limits, but this is years and years and years of half hearing slogans about political issues that have some depth worth looking into, but they don't fucking bother. And then they just all kind of blur together in this fucking smoothie of dumbassery.
That's true too. So today.
No, it's not true. What town are you, what fucking A-Team Hulk episode hitchhiker story? What town is this? The fuck? Can you imagine thinking this in right now about like every fucking suburb you drive through? Shit.
The editor would be more likely to say, no, we're not going to cover that. It's all profit making. When this is why you can either have short-term profits, when the news becomes a profit-making venture, it's like health becoming a profit-making venture. Not everything should be profit-making. Not everything should be about profit. And
okay, a moment. It depends on what you use the profit for. A company that makes money can make more money if it uses some of that money to expand its money-making ability. And if it makes it a more effective company and makes it a more trustworthy company, then it will make people trust it the next time around if, in the case of healthcare, they get sick or whatever. So the idea, we see this bullshit with Richard Wolff. Let me share an analogy with you guys that I hope you can grasp. If every spoonful of food that you took into your mouth used the movement of your arm, the food going into your mouth, and the chewing, masticating, and swallowing of that food, use the same amount of calories that was in the fucking food, you would die. You understand? You need caloric profit to stay alive. Yes, if all you ate was celery, you would die. It takes as much to consume as it does as it gives, and you would get the sodium in it would kill you. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? Your entire system works on some level of profit. You get more from the activity that you're doing than you need. This is true of workers, or they wouldn't take the job. Unless you can work during certain hours and go home, or make enough money because you work extra hours to save up for a vacation or those kind of things. When you have those kind of options, that's what a middle class is all about. That's what we're trying to build here. That's what we're trying to expand here and offer to everybody. That's what you want. The worker is looking to get a profit from this situation. More value for their time than what's taken out by their workday. Right? That is profit. That is the worker's profit. You make more money than the one-to-one effort you are putting out in that day. Does that make sense? Right? And if you didn't, you would pass away. Any business that doesn't make a profit will collapse because it will stagnate and will be overrun by other companies that do. Now, what you do with the profit is meaningful. It used to be in the United States of America, and especially back in the fucking 70s when Marianne and Roseanne are talking about it used to be that there was a class of people who could have stock, and that when you talked about paying back your investors or profit went to the investors in the company, that it was a very small group of fucking people. Nowadays, retail investors and pension funds, specifically around unions and everyone else, are a huge aspect of the stock market, for example. And those investors that make money off of the profits of these giant corporations are citizens themselves, are retirees, are retail fucking investors. Okay? This ain't the fucking 50s anymore. And it's certainly not the fucking 70s. In the 70s, nobody owned stock. There was like a class of people this fucking big, and that's why the stock market was at like 3,000. The reason politicians give a fuck about corporate profits these days is because those corporate profits, the one of the single biggest investors in these corporations that need a return on their money so that they can pay out to the people who the money that they have glommed together and invested in these companies are pension funds and are individual investors, which means that in working for the corporations the way Marianne talks about it, in these 70s terms, which would mean you were in league with the fucking corporations and you were basically just helping the rich become more profitable. Now, that is directly reflective of the average middle class voter. Why do you think Trump brings up people's fucking 401ks? What the fuck do you think the 401ks are? They're investment schemes in, quote unquote, corporations. So the idea that this is the fucking same, and I love that you guys are just naming 70s porn stars during all this. You're a little ahead of me on that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong. I look back wistfully at 70s porn when it was. Remember when porn was nice? Oh, how young were we? But all my friends had a crush on Barbara Dare. I don't know if you remember who she was. And it wasn't until I think much later that you had somebody like Kobe Tai come in and just sweep the floor with everybody. Biggest dickus. Yeah. So let's be abundantly clear. You cannot talk about the economic structures of the fucking 70s and the economic structures of now as if they are the same class of people are making the same investments, and that the money that's been created since the invention of the fucking personal computer has gone to the same fucking people. It's just, this is so goddamn lazy. Ugh. Don't get me started on Debbie Does Dallas. She never leaves Springfield. She doesn't do Dallas. I just feel like I think we've all felt a little let down by that storyline. She didn't do Dallas. The whole point is, never mind. Lesson learned. Does that make sense at least? You guys, this asshole's not going to get it, but does that make sense to you guys? That one of the reasons why both parties are interested in corporations and profits and all that kind of stuff is because more people in America, their financial well-being and their financial future is tied to investments in those companies than ever fucking before. Stop it. Stop pretending that you could flip-flop this nonsense. It's so fucking stupid. It's like the same assholes who talk about the founding fathers and slavery and the back and forth, when half of them didn't own slaves. Only a small percentage of Americans owned slaves at that particular time. And even the ones that did, in the case of Jefferson, were looking for ways to get rid of it so that if they freed their slaves, somebody else wouldn't just snatch them up and treat them worse. Like, stop trying to project now onto then as if you just magically grew up knowing that life should be this way. When if you'd been, raised in the court of the king of Zanzibar, you'd be in the slave trade. Just fuck off with this idea that you can just kind of retroactively overlay this fucking onion skin of morality on the past, or magically just make it all just... it was so much better back then. The past sucked. All of it. Everything up till a half hour ago was complete shit. Again, that's why time moves forward. Because with every tick of the clock, time is going, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that. Your grandparents had stock? Well, they were the rare few. And they were buying silver certificates and shit like that. Wasn't like now. There was no Robinhood. There was no E-Trade. None of that. All right. Back to these dum-dums.
When you have that, you can either have short-term profits as your bottom line and your governing principle, short-term profits for corporations, or you can have people, democracy, humanitarian values.
No. There's definitely a push for short-term profits in certain areas. But one of the things you get about legacy media and legacy corporations is that they would like to be around. And if you're trying to lure investors in, especially long-term, you're going to have a 10-year plan for how you're going to be around.
Safety, our health, our
but everything to them is fucking Martin Skrillex.
well-being.
Don't you think a big mistake was when they passed that Citizens United, when they said
That was
corporation?
everything.
Yeah,
that was like the death knell, because that has so released all this what's called dark money, corporate influence.
Hi. You do realize that the Citizens United you're talking about is how channels like Roseanne's actually exist. Just saying. Because groups and super PACs can dump money on shows like hers and buy ad space or whatever, and there's no limit on it. And it still doesn't matter because people will believe what they're going to believe.
That's the worst thing of all. And the only way we can override that is with a revolution at the ballot box.
Well, you can't have a revolution at the ballot box because America's full of dough-headed fucks who are hypnotized by the super PAC ads on the TV all the time. And you can tell because when you talk to them, it's like they're hypnotized because they're looking at you like you're a fucking crazy person. And it can't be that you're talking crazy. It must be that they are just...
The only way we can override that is through we the people.
I like to
explain what that is.
Huh?
Can you explain to our... Yeah, one of you. Just people don't know.
People don't know what Citizens United is. They're so dumb. Everybody watches this. They don't even know that Democrats eat baby livers.
Well, they...
Here it comes. Tell us how... Yeah. Run. By the way, how... Now, here's the hard part. How does Roseanne bring up the Hillary Clinton aspect of the Citizens United ruling without bringing up to Roseanne, that she eats baby livers? How?
They basically passed a law that a corporation has as much human rights as a human being, a citizen.
Not quite.
And they had said, which it had been determined that corporations have the right to pay, which is sick in and of itself. But they with that decision, they gave these corporations unlimited power.
No, I don't know if you know this, but corporations do not have unlimited power
to influence political elections. And
I think it's limited to the fact that people just think. I think there are limitations on what people will believe. What am I talking about? You're on a show with a woman who thinks that Democrats eat baby livers.
You know, I tell you, I'm in the belly of the beast right now.
Yes, it's the Hyatt belly of the beast. It's a 5-star belly of the beast, but it's still the belly of the beast has a wonderful coffee shop in the lobby and a continental breakfast that is to die for. I did not realize that the belly of the beast has separate hand soap and body soap in little packets that you shut the fuck up. Yeah, you are just like I am. And by belly of the beast, I mean an estate in Hawaii.
Works. There's character assassination. It's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're engaged in. There's character assassination. I don't know why they flicked to this motherfucker. He's just like, he puts the camera on himself. He's actually switching the cameras. Like, as soon as she said character assassination, he's like, assassination. He's like, that's me.
I saw it firsthand.
You're aware, Ma. Yeah, you've been through it.
Yeah, in 2012, I wanted to see it. So
so I just said some racist shit just to see if they were serious.
So I could know about it for myself. But yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's really racist or gross or bigoted or anything like that. They just do it to see. Let me see if there's a real reaction to this. I'm just going to test the waters. See if America's really as pro-racist as I think. Oh, they're not. Oh, shit. Well, I lost my what? Oh, my job. I see.
There's no democracy in it. That much I know. That's the last thing there is. So
democracy, as in demonocracy, as democrats. Yeah. She's drawing it back because she recognizes she's talking to Marianne, so she's half-assing her democrats thing.
I'm worried for our country. I loved that you when you were speaking about the problem with the immigrants. Yes,
I loved when you were talking about the problem with the immigrants. Please go on.
You were brave enough to say, well, let's look at the U.S. drug laws role in all of that. And what the people are escaping is cartels created by our U.S. drug laws.
No, I would say that they were created by the demand side of a supply and demand market.
And that's so right on. I'm glad you said that. That was
Thank you.
great.
You know, Richard Nixon started the war on drugs in 1971, and he called drugs public enemy number one.
And in the last year, fentanyl has killed 113,000 Americans, which, I mean, they were going to die anyways. You know, I think we should just legalize all of it because you can't save everybody. And if kids, you know, think, you know, if we don't tell them drugs are bad, maybe they'll stop rebelling by using it. And, you know.
Now, once again, we're old enough to remember drugs in 1971 were not public enemy number one.
Okay. A, yes, they were. And B, they weren't 1/16 as powerful.
And John Ehrlichman, who was one of the Watergate people who then worked for Nixon and went to jail, when he got out of prison, he spilled the beans about everything. And he talked about how when we started the drug war, he said, of course, Nixon knew it wasn't public enemy number one. And he did.
Pot. That was pot. Nobody's even discussing fucking OxyContin and oxycodone and fentanyl and shit like that.
It is partly an attack on black communities, etc. We have spent,
because it was weed. That we know that. Again, don't make the same mistake that the Nixon administration did, and just adding pot to the war on drugs, and then pretend it's all one big mush, and therefore heroin's okay.
$1 trillion on the drug war. It clearly has not helped.
Debatable.
It has made things even worse.
No, it hasn't. Honestly, most people are using pharmaceuticals.
You have, when I was in college, we had 300,000 people in prison. We now have 2.3 million.
Because of the fingerprint and VICAP systems. You don't think those people are in there because they had fucking a bag of weed on them, and so they're in federal prison for that? You out of your fucking mind? Here's something that was big in the 70s and 80s. People like Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy could kill people and they would just fucking disappear because you didn't even have driver's license with fucking pictures on them. And you could, and if they were close to catching you, shit, you could just go to the next state. The coordinating aspect, even if the FBI was on your trail in Colorado, you head down to Florida, there's not even a picture of you on your fucking driver's license. You can kill a bunch of people down there, and if you're caught, you just give them a fake name. What the fuck do they know? There's no internet. There's nothing tying this shit together. People disappeared in the 70s. They fucking stayed disappeared. Jesus Christ. Every cold case show you're watching is all before DNA, all before fucking Apple Watches, dummy.
And almost half of all federal prisoners are there for nonviolent drug offenses.
Nonsense. First of all, nonviolent drug offenses does not constitute like dealing. If you're there for massive dealing, that's not nonviolent drug offenses. The woman that Trump pardoned, she had like 9 fucking guys killing people for her. She was selling massive amounts of coke. She was a huge drug dealer. Nonviolent. Jesus Christ. Nonviolent like Al Capone was largely nonviolent because he had hitmen do his work for him. Get the fuck out of here. Stop it. And she let the guys who killed for her, they're still in prison. Those guys didn't fucking get pardoned. Because they were the violent drug offenders? Because she told them who to kill and they did it? Get out of here.
So we now...
And by the way, I don't even know where the fuck she's getting that number. No. There is effectively no war on drugs right now, Groove Dragon in the chat room. People are saying, like, end the drug war. The drug war petered out in the 90s. People were being moved to, like, treatment and that kind of stuff as far back as fucking 91. Jesus Christ. We declared a ceasefire on the drug war well before it ended. And we have effectively surrendered a giant portion of our populace to drugs in the process. In the name of legalizing pot, we've basically said, fuck anybody who dies of fentanyl, fuck anybody who, mixes drugs together or gets their hands on some oxycodone and some Oxycontin. There's, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, and the legalization of weed was important. Therefore, fuck everybody. And we are making the same mistake with drugs that Nixon made. He was saying pot's as bad as opium, and we're saying in the name of pot not being bad, nothing is bad. And therefore, fuck it. Let it all slide, because it's all nonviolent, because it's a victimless crime. These people are just doing it to themselves. Even though you can talk about addiction, half these people who are dying of fentanyl aren't addicted to anything. They're dying the first time they try it.
We now spend $100 billion a year, and we, for a fraction of that.
Yes, keeping rapists, violent felons, and murderers in jail and giving them health care and 3 hots and a cot.
That money could create a world-class network of recovery options.
We have a world-class network of recovery options. We have private recovery centers that people get diverted into all the fucking time. And unless you want to set up asylum systems again, like mental institutions for these folks, yeah.
When you and I knew each other in LA, we knew people in AA. Recovery was a corner of things. Drug addiction now is an ubiquitous problem.
Right. So your point is, since we stopped throwing, low-level drug dealers in jail, since we stopped fighting the war on drugs, since we effectively declared a truce in the war on drugs and started diverting people, now it's all over the place. This is just by the way, this is a very complex conversation. I'm more commenting on the idiocy of this, the dough-headed response to this that you're seeing on your screen from these folks.
And we're not solving it by criminalizing it. We need to change it to a health issue rather than a criminal issue.
It is largely. We're not throwing users in jail. This ain't the fucking 70s, back when she was like, things were so easy back in the 70s. You mean when we were throwing anybody who did drugs in jail? Jesus Christ.
And that's what countries like Portugal do. Meanwhile, we take away the black market, because the drug cartels all this power, because the drugs, as long as there's a hunger for them, they're going to, right? So they have this black market that
right.
would make a big dent in the power of the drug cartels, and it would also free us up to address the one drug, which I don't even think of as a drug. I think of it as a weapon. I think of it as a poison. I think of it as
fentanyl, she means, I guess.
Something that needs all of our attention, of course, and that is the fentanyl crisis.
So you see, what the fuck was that? That's her theme song? Good Lord. Yeah, again, this is such an idiotic conversation about something that requires some actual depth. And the idea that, here's my big problem with it. In all this discussion that they bring up, she's bouncing all over the fucking place. And literally talking to someone, in the case of Roseanne, whose brain was largely fried by her usage. And her idea that, it doesn't matter, it's just fucking stuff. The government's wrong about all of it, and therefore I will take it just to show them. In the same way that I was racist, just to test the waters. Grow the fuck up. If you can't recognize the difference between, say, like alcohol and pot and opioids, and especially pharmaceutical opioids, like like fentanyl, like oxycodone, oxycontin, those kind of things. And the fact that you've got, go watch The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia and tell me that we're talking about a standard kind of like addiction sorrow cycle. The oversimplification of the conversation around this is what's infuriating. You can talk about the fact that some people find great medical facility in pot and still not go, we need to, look the other way when people are selling giant bags of fucking fentanyl, oxycodone, and oxycontin. And that's exactly what she's asking for. Just like, well, there's an appetite for it. So yeah, if you try to stop it at all, the sale of it on the fucking street, then, obviously you're empowering the cartels. Get the fuck out of here. Like, can we talk about this shit like actual goddamn grown-ups? Speaking of actual grown-ups, thank God the Five is on the scene. And that the Republicans have, they've got I don't know what you'd call it. They've got their act together, and they're going to vote again on Jim Jones. I don't know. They were watching the vote, apparently. Good old Judge Janine. Everybody at the Five are watching this, and I mean, I don't know what more they could want, considering there are a bunch of people who think that the government sucks and can't do anything right, and they're seeing that, played out in stark relief right in front of them. Again, the Republican mantra: government it sucks at everything. Elect me and I'll prove it. This is the story. This is the tale. This is them exemplifying exactly what Reagan said, exactly what they want. They want a government so small you could drown in a bathtub, or so stupid it falls asleep with a glass of wine in its hand in the tub. We're the Five. There's five of us, sort of. There's actually four and one weirdo Democrat woman.
The search for a new House Speaker.
Oh, sorry. It's not the Democrat woman. Sorry, Jessica's not there today. It's
still happening. Congressman Jim Jordan.
Nah, it's not happening.
Losing on the first vote for the gavel, and it's unclear if he has enough support to get to the magic number, which is.
And he didn't even wait to get to the hallway before he jacked it off.
217. Congressman Jordan announcing that a second vote will take place tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Gee, I wonder how that went.
The guy who had the job 2 weeks ago, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, is speaking out, and he's blaming Democrats for the chaos.
Yeah, because he's an idiot.
You had every single Democrat, along with 8 Republicans, vote to shut down one branch of government. That is why we're in the. Well, no. Let's go back to how it got here. We wouldn't be here
if Matt Gaetz hadn't called for this vacate thing, and you hadn't given him the ability to do it in one vote, and if you hadn't lied to Democrats' faces about what bills you were going to bring to the floor, and then shit on them on the Sunday shows after you lost the initial vote, or you after they helped you pass the CR.
If every single Democrat didn't vote with 8 Republicans to shut this place down.
Greg, that to me is an interesting take on why we're.
Somebody call the ambulance. The ambulance rolling on. All right.
Would you have a
All right. Never occurred to me how much he looks like the Grinch if he wasn't green until just this moment. But it explains why why Republicans think he's funny is because they in the Grinch That Stole Christmas, they literally side with the fucking Grinch. Look at this. That's amazing. That's how the fuck. All right.
An opinion on this? You agree with Mr. McCarthy or have a different?
I don't know if I have an opinion.
No, you have one. It's just it has no value.
I kind of want Jim Jordan to win, so maybe he might wear a jacket. But this,
I wrote a thing about he might wear a jacket because jacket, and there's this thing with it, and I wrote a joke about that. Fuck me. By the way, Sexy Liberals this Saturday. If you can't be in LA for it, we're live streaming it. Tickets at sexyliberal.com. Just saying.
I mean, obviously, given what's been going on, this feels really small and petty.
But enough about your penis.
Petty. It just shows you that petty politics is immortal. No matter what happens, this goes on. We have bigger fish to fry, and by fish, I mean Hamas.
By fish.
So I don't know.
Jesus, so I don't know. Exactly, Greg. This is a man realizing at work that he's unqualified for the job he has.
Judge?
I was looking up the names of the 8. I'm so angry that we're even in this situation at this point in time.
And you don't know the names of them already? It's been fucking days, dum-dum.
With the Democrats, and McCarthy is absolutely right. McCarthy did everything the Democrats predicted. The Republicans would shut down the government and people in the military wouldn't get a check.
Hey, fuckwad, they passed a CR with the Democrats, and then he blamed them for, said they were the ones who were trying to keep it from passing when they're the only reasons it did pass.
Now we're in a situation where they need their checks, and now McCarthy kept the government open, and now the Democrats are voting to get him out. Yeah, it's disgusting. And everyone who was...
He's already out. What the fuck? Where have you been? Has she been in a cryo chamber?
Involved in that, Nancy Mace, Matt Gaetz, all of them. We're in this mess because of them. And Jim Jordan's great, Scalise is great,
Fabulous.
McCarthy was great. I don't know what
They're great. Great.
It's petty nonsense.
Oh, I hate it. Petty. What Greg said, but with wine.
Jesse?
You're asking me about the speaker situation?
Do you blame the Democrats for the situation we're in right now?
That's what you call brilliant framing. You make this about the Democrats.
You make this about, you played the fucking clip. McCarthy made this about the Democrats. He's referencing what you just saw, Stretch Ben Shapiro.
Is it true? Yes, it is technically true. All of the House Democrats and 8 Republicans shut down the Congress. Now,
no, it can still function. It's just Republicans won't allow stuff to get out of committee and go through the normal process unless they have a stranglehold on it, which, with a mandate they don't actually fucking have.
Congress is shut down. Do you notice anything different?
No.
Has your life changed?
The Israelis can't get the money they need.
Can't get the money? I feel like the Israelis are going to get the money.
They are.
Why would you say that?
What do you mean, Greg?
He doesn't know what he means. He already said that. Jesus Christ. The fact that these guys are, laughing off this lazy bullshit.
Advice of counsel, I'd like to go to David.
Well, I would say, where's the Problem Solvers Caucus when you need them?
You think that exists in the Republican Party?
This is a problem that you would think needs solved, and they have lots of Democrats that could help solve it.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, they're working on it. You know how they're going to solve it? By getting more Democrats elected and changing the fucking balance of power in this ridiculousness.
See what they said over the weekend? They said 5 to 10 of them would join with all the Republicans to give Patrick McHenry the limited power for the next to do.
Did that happen?
Well, they may have to do it tonight.
Right.
But it is amazing.
No, they're not. Tomorrow.
But it's amazing. Let me just let that right now. This is not the Democrats' problem. If the Democrats have a majority, they would choose a speaker. One more thing.
Always the Democrats'
One more thing is up next. Let me write that down.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Yeah, that's it. It's always the Democrats' problem. I see. So that's good. At least we're not dealing with fake news. Unlike over here. Check this shit out. Okay, this is on Frank Lindell TV. This is Frank's speech. Like this little fucking glowing cube up here. And I don't know why Mike Pillow's out of money, because he's paying fucking Roger Stone's legal bills by giving him a television show. And what's this back, like the broken glass dinosaur scales background? Everybody wants to be me. Fucking lazy sons of bitches. So, look at this. Lady Justice is dead. Trump gag order even applies to surrogates and supporters. No, I mean, he can't tell them to say stuff on his behalf, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it might be more like co-defendants, but what the fuck? Is there no audio on this? You fucker. This is what happens. Fucking Frank's speech, they do this all the time. Hold on. Copy this. Then I got to put it in, I don't know what it is, but Lindell TV's channel does not work on non-Chrome. Oh my God. This fucking video is an act of violence. Kimberly Guilfoyle is on with Roger Stone. Jesus. Is this going to play?
President Donald Trump
Yeah, there we go.
has no more energetic, no more effective, no more loyal advocate than my good friend Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Well, it's sad for him. I guess, the best is not to come, I
of
suppose.
the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show, right
Oh, good. Well, aptly named then.
here on Rumble, and she joins us now.
Great to be with you, Roger. I
That's
love being in the
fantastic.
Stone Zone, okay? It's my comfort space.
I love going on Roger Stone Show. It's so fantastic. And very rarely can I ever be in a situation where, we have somebody who is just so gross and such a useless part of the conversation. Honestly. Hold on one second. Let me try to, let's see. One more time. Hold on one second. I got to find this in here. Hold on. This is the, Whoops. Ooh, that crashed. That wasn't good. What happened there? Shut down a piece of my software. Ain't gonna let that happen. Get the fuck out of here. I'm bringing something up. Give me 1 second. Yeah, here it is. All right, continue. It's so
You
true.
know, Kimberly, for whatever reason, whenever you and I do TV show, either
People vomit every time. That's fabulous. The best and yet sorry, every time I say that word, I almost vomit. It's weird. I don't know what it is. I think it's a Dodd Jr. thing.
your great show, the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show, or
Yeah, is that what it's called again? I keep losing track. Oh my God, you're on the. Is it the Real Housewives of Coketown, USA?
here at the Stone Zone, or any place else.
The Stone Zone. Jesus Christ. You didn't name that after your testicles. That must be after some sort of kidney issue you're having or whatever. Does it hurt when you pee? Answer the second question first.
People like to complain about
Too much filler? Do they complain about that? No, probably not.
the way we look, the way
That's true. That is true. I don't. I think you look fantastic. I think we all look fantastic.
we dress.
No, I think the Nixon tattoo is a little weird. I mean, giving somebody a bullseye like that when you know you're going to jail is just wrong. How do you know you're not going to get in there with Ehrlichman or what if it's, never
the way
mind.
we carry ourselves. Let me make this observation. They hate us because they ain't us.
Well, no. No, definitely not. No, they hate you because you're you. It's just, you don't notice that basically, that they don't hate everybody else who ain't you either. You know what I mean? It's just, never mind.
Exactly.
That's so true. Never mind. I changed my mind.
Haters are going to hate, but winners just keep on winning. Ask Donald.
He lost. He lost the last time, and he's going to lose this court case, and he lost with E. Jean Carroll, and Jim Jordan lost, and Jim Jordan was his choice for... So winner's going to keep winning, so you're saying he's not a winner. Okay, good. All right, well, chalk that up, sure.
Yeah, I think we look amazing. Let's
I agree. I think we all look fantastic.
be honest. And you know what?
Let's be honest, we all look fantastic.
These people are miserable in their lives.
They are. They're so sad. They just wish they had what we have, fourth stage syphilis.
They hate themselves, and they have nothing
and botulism
better to do than be naysayers and try to criticize other people. But every time they say something, it just makes me stronger, and just I get actual happiness from it, and I just go, okay, all good.
That's right. That's how I do it too. When somebody comes up to me and they're like, "What the fuck is wrong with your face?" I just smile and keep on shopping.
They're paying attention, Roger. They want to know what we're saying, what we're doing, what we're...
No, they really don't, actually. I'm not even sure I do.
Wearing, what we're thinking.
Yes. When they see what you're wearing, they go, "Oh my God, what was she thinking?" And it's true. I can't argue with that. most of your outfits and most of what you've done to your face, I'm like, what was she thinking?
You know, and so there you go. We're
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't need you. You got to figure that shit out, right? That works out.
living rent free in their head.
Well, no, I think they. Honestly, you're not in my head at all. Just, as a matter of fact, you're one of those things like a car accident. Most people don't think about car accidents until they see one, and then they think about it for a little while afterwards, and they're like, "Ugh, remember that car accident?" It's not like it's I mean, people have memories, but they don't really like loiter on the idea. Never mind.
I think, as I once said in a famous movie, I revel in their hatred because if I was not effective, well, they would not hate me.
Yeah, so I think Hitler said something along those lines as well. Like, people only hated Hitler because he was effective, not because of what he did, but because they were jealous. That's the way people feel about Ted Bundy. That's the way that people always feel about, you know, they only hate him because they're effective. It was that's what it was about Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein. People are like, "Oh, he's so effective. I don't mind what he does. He's just so good at it."
No one is more effective than you are as an advocate for the president.
Which is pretty sad. That's pretty bad bargain basement.
A lot of people don't know this, but you are not only an attorney, you're a former prosecutor in both Los Angeles and
yeah, and people just think you're a big pair of tits. That's sad.
San Francisco.
And they can't tell from when she's at these events doing this big turnaround thing and yelling or whatever. They're like, that you could tell she's an attorney. That is somebody. Those tits pass the bar.
With I think an almost perfect record of convictions, a true support
undefeated
of law and order.
Gee, it's the chances of any of those people being innocent is fairly. Don't like my lips too much.
And therefore, I have to ask you what you think of the not so shocking news out of D.C. That the judge in the
keep talking. We'll get to it eventually.
In the Jack Smith case, the case brought by Jack Smith, has now gagged President Donald Trump. Why does this sound very familiar to me? Well, what's going on here?
It could be that he doxed people and his followers might go to their houses and kill them, and people are considering that to be a serious issue on, you know, on Earth where real people live. Nah, I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah, it's a complete affront to justice, to the First Amendment, to the
everything, to lip filler.
The Constitution. This gag order from the judge in D.C. is quite simply totally and completely illegal, and it's just quite
totally and completely illegal. We should arrest the judge who gave the gag order. You should be able to dox anyone, and you know, just tell your supporters this person needs to be stopped, and they live at 2475 Springfield Road, and they're home between these hours, and they do not have a gun permit. You should be able to say all that stuff.
Quite frankly, another example of election interference, Roger, because it's a purely political gag order.
It's terrible and stuff. And by the way, where are you? Is that in cartoon Portland? # rip Portland.
This isn't based in any law or facts or reason. It's political in nature, and it's designed to silence President Trump.
And it hasn't done it, but I mean, it didn't really, not technically silence if you can actually still talk.
And his entire campaign team, his surrogates, the family, all of the above.
So they've canceled all there's not going to be any Trump rallies? You can't even do those anymore? Jesus Christ. So he's just going to walk out to Lee Greenwood and then wave and go home? It's so sad.
And they don't even seem to understand the law, quite frankly.
No, what do judges know about the law?
Frankly, because the statute, she said, actually refers to preventing statements, quote, likely to interfere with the rights of the accused. So completely missed the mark, didn't hit the target. But she doesn't care, actually. This is a political...
Well, you can also, you know, you can muddy the jury pool, for example, and then they can, never mind. What do I know? My tits didn't pass the bar.
Smear campaign. It's not a fair trial. All the proceedings are tainted. And it's...
Thank God you're telling Roger Stone this so that his viewers they don't even know what's going on. will know about this. Thank God.
It's a complete disgrace. And the
It's a disgrace. You should use that word more. I think that word's catching on. I think it's big.
American people see it. Trump keeps rising in the polls. The more nonsense and election interference that they throw at him, people are.
That's right. Republicans really love someone who's been found in a court of law to be a wanton pussy grabber.
Rejecting it. They are rejecting the false narrative. They want to live in the truth and to bring this country back to the greatness that we had under President Trump.
She's so good. Oh my God. She's like, this is the loneliest Real Housewife I've ever seen, but it's great.
And this judge has already made up her mind. There is not any fair arbiter, neutral arbiter of justice. Lady Justice is dead.
Oh God. She's dead. To me, I mean, show up in that long green drape like she's all fucking that and everything, and she's like, wow, and I'm like throwing chairs.
Call the morgue, okay? They don't care what the facts.
Call the morgue. We don't really call a coroner, I guess.
They don't care what the law is. The gag order even applies to, quote, surrogates. So get ready. That's you. That's me. Everybody.
No.
Who does it even apply? All of them.
Oh, that's the end of it. That's all we got. You're just going to stop it right there. It just ends with all. I guess she just got gagged. That's what happened. They couldn't even finish the clip. That's terrible. Look at that. Look, that's how bad it is. Even Roger Stone is gagging her with. Sorry, I just had a weird, like, ugh. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, and I think that shows taste and breeding on your part. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, help us grow. I feel like I haven't said any of that stuff in days because I've been ice skating uphill against this bleck that I've had. Can we go to, let's see, we got to finish something out. Oh, here's Trump did another, hold on, okay. Trump did another thing coming out of the court. Oh, this is a different day. Look, Eric was there. Alina Hubba. We didn't even get to look at her. She was very angry earlier. Is this it? Yeah, here's it. This is a moment with Alina Hubba.
So I'm going to take some questions, but first I want to add some color to what my client has said. This has been publicly filed. It is exactly the waiver that he has referred to in the statement of financial conditions, and I want you to understand how clear it is.
It's super clear. Because this is not under oath, so I can just talk into the press, so I can say anything the fuck I want out here.
States such valuation methods include, but are not limited to, the use of appraisals, capitalization of anticipated earnings, recent sales and offers.
Capitalization of anticipated earnings. This is how much money I plan on making this over the years, and acting like the profits over the course of 10 years are a singular amount that I could get at any day because I'm a fucking lunatic.
Estimates of current values as determined by Mr. Trump in conjunction with his associates and in some instances, outside professionals.
Yes, in some instances. And by the way, they attached those outside professionals' documents, which turned out to be forgeries.
Considerable judgment is necessary to interpret market data and develop the related estimates of current value.
Yeah, but then when you attach one of the outside parties that is a trusted name and that person didn't actually fucking say that, then you forged a document and engaged in manipulation. That's fraud. That would be the fraud part, stupid.
Accordingly, the estimates presented herein are not necessarily indicative of the amounts that could be realized upon the disposition of the assets.
It could be so much more.
Or payment of the related liabilities. The use of different market assumptions and or estimation methodologies may have a material effect on the estimated current value amounts. Let me explain to you what that is. That is on the Weiser-Mazar statement of financial condition in the front that is always provided to,
which they prepared, and they themselves have said, oh, Trump lied to us in our preparation.
Everyone. We have heard numerous witnesses come in and out of this court wasting taxpayer dollars, wasting numerous taxpayer dollars in a city that has fallen.
Well, he could always plead guilty. That would save us all a lot of money.
Falling apart because they
In a city that's falling apart. Yeah, I don't know why you're even inside a building right now. The roof's going to come down any second.
don't want to believe that any business in New York can conduct themselves without the Attorney General sticking her nose in your business.
I don't know. There's a lot of business in New York, and they don't seem to be having the problem you do.
With a statute that has never been used against an individual. This is a scary.
Well, it's an individual-run company. There's most of the other companies that are engaged in these larger schemes are, they have boards of directors. They have actual like investors out in the open.
Precedent legally for any business in New York. What is happening now is they are saying that the Attorney General is no longer going to use 6312 against consumers. She's going to come after you and your personal business, and then she will bring
My personal business? Oh, dear.
your children involved
Because your children run the company?
of political motivation.
Because your children are the vice presidents? They are adult human beings?
And that is all that is here. I'll take some questions.
Yeah. Isn't Eric the vice president of the Trump organization? What the fuck does he do?
Anybody?
Is Donald Trump going to his deposition?
Anybody? Don't be afraid to duck lip. Don't be afraid.
Of course. He always cooperates. He will cooperate. He's going to be at that ridiculous hearing for deposition. I'm not going to give you details of my job.
Coming back here today or no?
He's here. He's here. Yeah.
Oh, he's here.
We just heard an appraiser say that he was surprised that his advice ended up on these statements of financial conditions. What does the former president have to say to that?
Well, the former president is going to say anything about it. We're going to cross-examine him, and I think that will say it all. I think you guys need to understand something. Banks hire appraisers.
Oh, the former president of the company, not the former president, her client.
Everybody here knows that. Anybody here that's purchased a home or purchased anything in real
Anything that has a receipt.
estate understands a very basic thing. Let me put this whole case in plain English for you, okay? You are an individual. You go to get something appraised.
Okay, you're an individual. You go get something appraised.
You say, my house is worth X. The bank doesn't take your word for it. They hire people like that gentleman to go do their own values. Now, those values are going to be lower than the ones that the homeowner or the commercial real estate owner would use. It's very basic. Anybody watching any business television can understand or explain.
Which is when you as an individual say how much your house is worth is not the same thing as Mazars say doing it. And you lying to Mazars and Mazars putting this together is going to put the weight of that organization behind it. And the assumption is going to be that, yeah, Trump's going to bullshit. But if Mazars has checked it out, we're a little safer, even if they do have this kind of disclaimer part of it. And then they attached fraudulent shit on top of that. Again, this is the smoke screen. We told them that we got 100% disclaimer. It's called the 100% disclaimer, where you disclaim everything. I don't claim anything that I dissed, as the kids say today, about disclaimering. I didn't claim anything that they're not disclaiming. They have the chance. It's a disgrace that they haven't disclaimed this. But it's so stupid. But it isn't just his word. He's making it like, this is my word, and then you don't have to take my word for it. Go look. They faked documents by other people.
These basic principles of real estate. But the point is, that's not what this is about. That is not what this case is about.
It's about his years of
It
criminality.
has nothing to
his decades of
do with
criminality.
this, because the statement of financial condition was actually low. Statement of financial condition didn't include President Trump's brand.
Which is ridiculous, because if you'd included it, Mazars wouldn't have signed off on that part of it. I'm sure he wanted to include it, and Mazars went, we can't put your personal evaluation of your brand on this kind of stuff. They want to know how much your properties are worth. Meanwhile, you put down that your apartment is 30,000 square feet, and there aren't that many square feet on any of the fucking floors in this building, and it's less than 11.
The statement of financial condition does not include the big picture. If you take Trump...
The big picture. I didn't realize. Guys, I congratulations to Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. I'm including the value of the big picture, which is, of course, one of my favorite King's X songs.
Tower, and you take the Trump name off of that building, and you put
it'll probably go up in value.
Letitia James's name on that building, it will not be worth what it is worth when Donald Trump...
She's she's a public servant. I see. Is it that because black names aren't valuable? Is that what you're saying?
Do you have a sense of when the former president will meet that time?
What if you put, I don't know, like Bezos on it? Bezos is worth way more money.
When they call him, he will come up and testify.
Uh-huh. And that's the end of that. And let's see, we got to go all the way over here. Yeah. Ah! 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 It's just a fucking picture of him. He just looks like he's screaming, and Eric looks confused. Why am I here? How did this happen? I just woke up. What am I doing here? This isn't even, I don't even know what I do for a living. I'm a vice president of a company that doesn't even need a vice president. This was my grandfather's company, and I don't even know what the fuck we do anymore. Where am I? What am I doing? Ah! Why is my dad screaming? Okay, this is breaking news. Trump goes off on witch hunt with no jury. You're like, wait a minute. Isn't he just saying the same shit over and over again? Welcome to Earth.
Mr. President, what are your thoughts on the trial so far? You've been listening to the witness testimony.
That's the voice of the same fucking dude.
The trial is going very well, but we don't have a jury. So I have no idea what happens with this. The trial's going very well. Deutsche Bank testified that, first of all, the loans were...
The Germans loved giving me money, and they didn't care where it came from or where it went. They were good this way. They used the same system for me that they used to trade art during the 1940s, and...
paid off. There was no default. There was no problem. There's no victim except me. I'm the victim here. There's no
boo-hoo.
Victim. There's no victim whatsoever. This is just a witch hunt by an attorney general that ran for governor and failed. She used me because she ran for governor and she failed.
But then she ran for AG and won because she said she was going to go after you, which means, I think, let's see, I've got written here somewhere. Hold on. It says, New York fucking hates you. Just written on that piece of paper.
There were no defaults. Every loan was perfect. They were all paid off.
That's where perfect bankruptcies.
If they ever did this to anybody else, any other business person, what they would find would be ridiculous. You know,
that's him like, these other guys I hang out with, they do this shit all the time. They're just better at it than I am.
Find with us nothing. There's nothing. The loans were perfect. The loans were paid off.
It was like a perfect phone call. Perfect. I do all the criming without saying the crime words. I didn't say crimey, crime on my crimey behalf, so I didn't crime. If you don't say the crime, like if you say, I want you to get rid of that person, and they murder that person with the money and the gun you gave them, that all you said was rid, like an ant hotel, which kills ants. Never mind, you know what I mean.
All interest was paid. There was no defaults. I never even received a default letter. And I got plaques and trophies from the institutions in many cases.
You got plaques from the banks?
For having done such a good job, which we're...
Is that how it works in the real estate industry? If you pay off a loan, they give you a plaque? Is it like the YouTube button, which, by the way, like and subscribe so I can get one of those fucking YouTube buttons. God damn it.
Going to be presenting in trial. This is just a railroad job.
It's a railroad job, and I don't do manual labor.
Witch hunt with no jury.
It's a witch hunt railroad job where I'm like a Chinese witch in the 1800s.
And it's a runaway freight train, and
it's a runaway. Jesus Christ! It's a runaway freight train witch hunt hoax.
It's a disgrace, and any business.
Disgrace. Sorry, runaway witch hunt freight train hoax. Disgrace.
Business that moved into New York should not do it. You should stay the hell out of here, because I'll tell you what, this is a corrupt system that we're in.
Why do you think your family is being persecuted?
Why do you think your family's being persecuted? These aren't set up questions or anything. Yeah, who's the guy yelling these? Because I'm gonna guess that they've started planting these dudes out there to make them feel better. that he's being heard.
What do you think about Cohen not being here?
Wait, let me tell you. Eric is being persecuted because he's the dumb one. And it's easy because if you hand him a balloon, he gets very confused about how it's bigger with air inside of it when air isn't big at all. And then he tries to climb inside of it and almost suffocates himself. So Don, I don't know. He blazed a rail this morning and I haven't seen him. He ran all the way across the city. He's at Logan trying to take off from one of the short runways.
I'll tell you what, Cohen didn't have the guts, but I'll tell you why my family is being persecuted.
Yes, tell us why your family is being persecuted.
Because I'm leading in the polls against Biden by a lot. You saw Washington Post the other day came out, ABC fake news. Maybe it is fake, I don't know.
Yes, I only cite them when I like them.
We were leading by 10 or 11 points. Yesterday another one came out, we're leading Biden by 6 points. And that's why, and we're leading the Republicans, we're leading the sanctimonious by 60 points, 60 points more. And that's why this is happening.
Uh-huh.
If this weren't happening, if I weren't running for president and doing so well, winning.
You think they would just look the other way after January 6th? You don't think that a lot of people were like, all right, enough already?
It wouldn't be happening. You know what happened in 2016? And you know what happened in 2020? We did
You lost.
much better in 2020 than we did in 2016.
Because everybody got to vote, which is something you don't want to have happen.
Getting millions and millions more votes. People
Well, and Biden got millions more votes than you did, so that's what losing feels like.
don't like to talk about that, but got millions and millions more votes. That's why this is happening. That's the only reason it's happening. I hope that, for Speaker, I hope that Jim is doing well. You'll have to tell me I've been wasting time on a railroaded court.
I've been wasting time on a railroaded court. Are you getting railroaded, or is you're trying to railroad it seems to me that you're having trouble comprehending this analogy.
I should be entitled, I should be entitled to a jury, like anybody else is entitled to a jury. But this case should have never...
Well, you're not going to jail for this, dummy. This is just about getting rid of your companies. Companies don't... By the way, I know you probably watched Marianne Williamson talking to Roseanne, and you might be under the impression that corporations have all the same rights and unlimited powers as human beings, but they don't. And in this particular situation, business licenses are not you as a person. You're full of shit and you're being found guilty of fraud. But in this particular case, you're not going to do time for this, fuckwad. So a judge is plenty.
Never been brought. It's an insult. Remember this.
I'm a dummy.
The financial statements are very conservative. The real numbers are more. They're conservative financial.
If Mazars had let me bullshit as much as I had wanted to.
They said, oh, the financial statements are valued higher. The
oh my God.
Financial statements are at a lower number.
You know what? I got to say, all this complex accounting terminology, can you dumb it down a little and say words that are, monosyllabic and completely useless to describe the circumstance? Just help me out a little.
They're conservative, so there is no fraud. Number two,
I gotta go.
We have a reliance clause. We have what's called a disclaimer right up front, all over it. All over the financial. It says, don't rely on these financial statements.
We're full of shit.
Do your own due diligence.
I'm a liar. Don't trust me. Treat me like a woman in a dressing room at a shopping mall would.
Do your own analysis.
When I say I have a giant penis, know that I have a tiny little button mushroom that's embarrassing to even talk about, that even makes my hands look big.
So there's no fraud. And number three, I said before, I'm being tried under a statute that nobody has ever been tried under. That doesn't give me a jury, that doesn't give me any rights whatsoever.
No rights whatsoever. Yep, they're taking him straight to jail.
They can do whatever they want.
Yikes. Geez, I thought there was a trial going on in there. So what do? They just bend you over a fucking table and take turns with whatever they got laying around, chair legs?
And it's a disgrace.
Oh, it's a disgrace. You know what? I don't know why it's a good word. He should use it.
Now it's turned out that I have great financial statements.
No, not so much. No.
It's turned out that the company is worth much more than the financial statements.
No, it isn't.
They were saying just the opposite. They valued things at ridiculous numbers, like Mar-a-Lago at $18 million, when it's worth perhaps 100 times that amount. Perhaps 100 times.
Perhaps. And so you told this to Mazars, and I hope you're on, and then all you heard was the splash of them spit taking on the speakerphone.
The fact is we have a corrupt legal system in New York City and New York State. And you know what? We have a corrupt legal system in our country. The DOJ is corrupt.
Everything is corrupt. It's corrupt. I'm not fraudulent. You're fraudulent. I hold myself in contempt.
And they're leading this whole thing.
I'm Jose Canseco.
Election interference. Thank you very much.
Are you going to come back? And what is your time again, sir? Are you coming back tomorrow?
I hate this. I'm so miserable. Nobody likes me. Big poopies. Good Lord. Now, let's end tonight. I'm going a little long tonight because I didn't get to do a show today. I hope that's okay. I hope that's all right with you guys. Yes? Just one more thing, because, I can't pass up some of these things. And CSL knows that when I'm feeling a little down or I'm a little worn out and I've been burning the candle at both ends and trying to light the middle as I am wont to do. He throws me a bone in there. He's like, you know what? This'll cheer up Hal. This'll make Hal feel better. This'll be one of those things where, he goes, give a breath of fresh air. And that, of course, would be any time when the most miserable man on the internet, Greg Kelly, is even more miserable than normal. Enough with the gag orders. I'm excited about this. Not only am I excited, let me show you something. You see that shiny spot on Greg Kelly's head, where he's kind of oily and a little sweaty, and probably this is the way he gets when he's angry. Let me show you, if I may, what happens when I leave my overhead light on in my home studio, which is this right here. See that? See right there? See, that's just a ceiling light. There's a fan in here that I can't turn on because it hits the green screen. So I need to lower the green screen like an inch, but I can't because I got very little head. It's a very small little room I'm in. I know it seems gigantic, but I'm in a very tight spot. But he's got a whole fucking studio, and yet somebody forgot to turn off the fucking cafeteria lighting in the studio, and it's giving him a shiny spot on his head. Now, why do I point that out? Because I'm a dick, and I don't like him. And every single moment that makes this asshole slightly more miserable makes me feel better. Because he's a mean-spirited moron, and that's a bad combo. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 minutes and 54 seconds of Greg Kelly mad that Donald Trump can't say anything, even though we've just watched him say a bunch of shit.
So, did you hear? Donald Trump is under a gag order. The judge says he can't talk about the case against him, the January...
No, he can talk about the case against him, fuckwad. He just can't dox people.
January 6th case that's going to trial in March. He can't criticize the judge. He can't criticize the prosecutor. This is still America, right? I mean...
Yes, he can. He can't bring up the staff and dox people. He just did. He's had this gag order. Never mind.
What is so special about a judge or a prosecutor? I actually don't understand this at all. And let's face it, these guys, it's easy to make fun of them. I mean, and you should. The prosecutor with that silly purple gown.
That silly purple gown? Are you out of your fucking mind? He wore that. That's the robe they wear at the fucking Hague trying war crimes, you dipshit.
That guy needs to be made fun of. Look, Trump has every right to push back. Night and day, every second of every day.
Right, based on the merits of the case and the details in the case, not against the actual participants in it, because that endangers their lives, and that's illegal. And by the way, Trump is attacking Jack Smith and the judge and other people like that because he's losing on the merits of the case. Because if he has to talk about why he had these fucking documents, he's going to be caught in multiple lies, and he knows it. So he's just like, this guy's a fucking maniac.
Fake news is ripping on Trump relentlessly. It sounds something like this.
Gee, look at all these guys with purple robes. It's almost as if Chutkin didn't like pick that as his graduation fucking colors from Prince University. What the fuck is Lindsey Graham? What the fuck?
You get the idea, and it's...
No, I don't get the idea. This is just gibberish. Nobody can hear what anybody's saying. I'm not going to take your fucking word for it, dummy.
It's like this all the time on cable, on broadcasts, on the internet, on social media.
It's almost like most human beings are in agreement that Donald Trump is a fraudulent fuckwad and incapable of operating like an adult human being and shouldn't be near the levers of power ever fucking again. And that you're in the minority of Americans who seem to think that this dickhead should. And you're wrong.
It's all kind of stacked against Trump.
Aw. Wait, that's it? Get the fuck out of here. No, hold on. Hold on. That's it? Hold on. Why did that jump to the end? Hold on. There we go. It's all stacked against Trump. Here's where he's at. I don't know why that jumped ahead to that part. Yeah, look at that.
Relentlessly, it sounds something like this.
Yeah, we saw that.
Trump.
Weird. That just won't play back. That's just odd. It might be a Rumble thing. All right, fuck it. Fine. It's just him being miserable, and that's just life. All right. So let me try one last piece then, because I got through everything. It's seemingly that I pull everything. He's a miserable asshole. And by the way, thank you to CSL and Andrea and everybody for scrambling to help me deal with the fact that I was, on the road and the internet was just but. Give me 1 second. Hold on, I'm trying to find one thing. Yeah. Oh, the Alex Jones thing. That's what I was looking for. Here it is. So Alex Jones was on. Shit, I'm gonna have to put this on a fucking. I know what I'm gonna have to do. I think it's the same issue with Lindell TV, that they just don't like anything that isn't Chrome based or some shit. Hold on. Paste. There we go. Bring this in here. Take this down here. Drag this down. Move this over here. There we go. It was down. So Alex Jones apparently. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, gosh, Hal Sparks' Megaworldwide is a great show. I'd like to like and subscribe. But beyond that, you're also thinking that, gee, if anything Alex Jones has said over the last 2 fucking decades was true, the Illuminati or whatever fucking elite organization of eyes wide shutters that are out there would have, I guess, bumped him off. So he's either controlled opposition and is lying to everybody in a completely manufactured way, or he's just blazingly full of shit. I go for option 2, but even if you're cynical enough to go for option 1, this is Alex Jones telling us how Israel and the U.S. are walking into a trap. It's a trap. Yes, and by the way, that's bold statement coming from Alex Jones, a man who makes Admiral Akbar look attractive.
Israel and the United States are walking into a trap.
It's a trap.
That's what Gaza is.
Gaza's a big trap.
And we have 2 ancient cultures, Communist China and the Persians, Iran, that know exactly.
The Persians, Iran. First of all, the Persians and the modern Iranian leadership are completely different. And there's plenty of Persians who are against that organization. You're fucking idiotic. The ancients of this, the Zoroastrians have been planning this all along as a trap for the Jews ever since they escaped from the Pharaoh.
Exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen these huge uprisings since the supposed hospital got bombed yesterday. And now we know it was the parking lot got hit. It wasn't 500 dead. But as Mark Twain said, a lie goes halfway around the world before the truth puts its pants on. And it's very...
Is that before the truth puts its pants on? Is that how it works out? What if the truth doesn't feel like wearing pants that day? What if the truth feels like wearing a skirt? That never happens. And also, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth can get its pants on. Is almost the sort of mission statement of the Alex Jones show.
Very clear that they're firing a bunch of rockets from a cemetery right behind the hospital, and one of them fails. You can see it. There's a whole bunch of videos, including from local news stations, and it falls into the parking lot. And there have been hundreds, 400 plus rockets just in the last year that have admittedly been fired out of Gaza. They're very, very primitive and failed and exploded.
Jesus Christ, man. Whatever it is, swallow it.
On people's houses.
I'm getting gassy just thinking about it. Some of these things, they come and they go back up, kind of like my acid reflux.
And on roads and in the farms there in Gaza. So this is absolute propaganda, but we're not supposed to question it.
And we've been questioning it. I had no problem talking about it. We talked about it with Texas Paul. This is, again, a fucking myth.
So they're still saying Israel did it, and I'm not saying Israel.
No, they're not. By the time he got on saying this, that everybody started recognizing that, that wasn't true.
Perfect by any stretch of the imaginations, but
my neck fat is coming back on me like a Hamas rocket.
It's overwhelmingly clear they lied about this whole thing, and you see the whole global media getting behind it in giant demonstrations, even in Dallas, Texas, just north of me, huge hordes of people waving their Palestinian flags, Hamas flags, and so
horde's a good word.
This is really the end.
Especially if you're planning on trying to drive one of your dickhead followers to open fire on people.
Within the gates, totally open border, hundreds of thousands of military-age men every few months streaming in, and it's totally outrageous. Meanwhile, Homeland
and all of them getting construction jobs.
Security still says the number one security threat is
domestic security threat.
Christian conservative Republicans, Catholics. Anybody that's questioning the power structure, that's the official directive is we the people.
Right. I don't know if you know this, but foreign fighters or foreign terrorists coming across the southern border into the United States is still a foreign threat. The number one domestic threat would be fuckwads like this guy's followers who are going to take up arms and storm a fucking Capitol and do their mini Jan 6.
The demographic conservatives with the lowest crime rates, the hardest working, the most honest people, we're targeted by this criminal regime while they give $6 billion to the mullahs just 5 weeks ago, while they give $87 billion.
Yeah, except that money's still frozen.
Alex, let's pull the camera back for 1 second. There's no...
Let me point out, Alex, if I could, that I'm you're one of the few people that looks worse than I do. Let's pull back and look at it. Both of our desks are covered in paper that we never read all the way through.
I think one of the reasons you've been so right on so many of the calls that you've made over the years, over the decade.
He's literally been wrong on everything. The only thing he's right on is stuff that the mainstream media was right about too. Yeah, run back to Agenda 21. When did the UN shock troops land?
You are pretty dialed in. You know a lot of folks in the national security apparatus, particularly the intelligence apparatus. How?
No, he doesn't. What the fuck are you talking about?
How was this missed?
Yeah, I've got a guy that calls my show and says he worked for the company.
Or was it missed? How was something that was planned for 2 years, that was a military operation over a vast scale of territory in Israel?
Obviously, this is a plan by the Persians and the tribes of Circes and And the Mayans and the Aztecs are in on it too.
An air, sea, land, highly coordinated invasion
of guys on fucking motorcycles with rifles and rocket launchers. You know, how do they even get those kind of things?
And not just caught the Messiah.
In a world where those things are everywhere.
Was it Shin Bet and IDF military intelligence by surprise? But then the response by IDF took 6, 7, 8 hours. How did that happen, sir? What do your sources tell you?
Because
I mean, it's clear the Israeli government admits the biggest intelligence failure in their 70-plus year history.
Why would they admit that unless they wanted it to happen?
And then we know that they've got hundreds of attack helicopters, including more than 50 Apaches that were literally just 10 miles away.
They could have strafed that music. They could have killed everybody at that music festival before the terrorists even got there, and saved Hamas the trouble.
And so they stood down for at least 7 hours, and
because they were in and amongst houses and innocent civilians, and you can't really open up with attack helicopters on your own civilian population.
There were all sorts of retired Israeli military that drove down from the north to try to fight. And so it's one of two things, and I think it's a mix of both.
Right. Yeah, it's one or the other, but probably both.
Israel's been in an internal political civil war. A lot of people have walked off the job. A lot of people have walked out of the military. And so you had very small units down there on the border in southern Israel, on the border with Gaza. And then you have Netanyahu, who's extremely unpopular, but's been able to stay in power because of parliamentary procedures, kind of like Trudeau has.
Yeah, exactly the same way. Yeah. But Netanyahu being a right-wing hardliner, manipulating things and trying to get rid of the judicial system. Meanwhile, Trudeau is the right-wing hardliner of Canada. I'm sick of his warmongering.
And so there was clearly some calculus there, and he said this before, that if Israel gets struck, it makes Israel stronger. And so I lean towards a complete stand down. That's actually what in national polls most Israelis think.
Right, because they're all fucking taking off the same conspiracy bong.
Has happened, but there's also a big component here that there were national strikes across the country, big demonstrations every weekend. With
Dick Cheney ordered all of them to stand down.
Netanyahu's judicial reform.
All the airplanes were flown up to worry about Hezbollah, and this was coming from the south.
And so I'm not taking sides in the incredibly sectarian battle.
I don't have to. I like both bullshit explanations because they're perfect for me. They're childish and conspiratorial and the kind of bullshit that I sell every fucking day. So the fact that other people are saying it.
That happen. You know, if we think we have partisanship here, it's nothing compared to Israel. It's over the top, as you know, Steve.
Yes, they're a divided country, and we've never complained about it until just now.
But bottom line, the final equation here is they've
settle it for us.
Moved in a lot of liberal Jews in the last few decades.
That's what it is. Those liberal Jews, and they want Hamas to. They think they deserve it, and they want Hamas to get in there and kill some people because it's only fair.
Gaza, who didn't or settled the area of Israel right by Gaza with 2+ million people that want to kill them, many of them, and the idea that many of the Jews that moved in there didn't even seek gun permits, which you can get fairly easy. Now the Israeli government's basically saying, all of you better get a gun. No kidding. I mean, if I lived next to a fence with 2 million people firing rockets at me and suicide bombers, it just shows how deluded.
Asshole, you have a gun because of the subdivision you live in, you absolute bloated puss.
Delusional and soft.
You human fupa.
The West has gotten, and so many of the people moving to Israel have come from countries with no Second Amendment, and so they're lambs to the slaughter.
They don't have any amendments, by the way. They don't actually have our Constitution. It's weird.
Alex, they had Burning Man down there with all the young people, that the Supernova or whatever, the trance, music dance party, like Burning Man, a half a mile from Gaza. If the Hamas or the Muslim Brotherhood's animals on the morning of the 8th, they were animals on the 7th, the 6th. It's pretty shocking that people sit there and just look at Israeli citizens that didn't take the threat seriously, sir.
This is, by the way, Bannon fucking with Alex Jones. This is where you get the storyline going around that that Bannon is a chaos agent for the establishment and all that kind of stuff. It keeps coming up because he does this with Mike Pillow. He does this with everybody where he sets them up to look like dickheads. And everybody, and then acts like he's on their side.
Well, that's right. Thousands of Israelis and Europeans and others taking ecstasy and acid, dancing all night with
Yeah, like peaceful music fans.
giant speakers.
Sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to get you in trouble.
Booming, boom, 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 with all that trance music.
Yeah, that probably is what caused it. They're just sitting there like, kill Jews, kill Jews, kill Jews. Let's do it now. Let's do it now. It wasn't so much. Basically, they were like, turn that music down, and then they came over there and they killed everybody because they don't like trance music.
That's like waving a giant steak, a bloody steak, in front of 100 starving wolves. Where is the common sense? And
yes, you should never party or celebrate life anywhere near people that you wouldn't party with or celebrate life with, I guess.
And again, I'm just looking at basic takeaways. Maybe the Israelis have thought they were safe with the Iron Dome and all their high-tech security. And
yeah, maybe, normalcy.
And maybe they were that.
He's saying trance music, but he's saying it in a way that sounds like trans music, probably is red meat, considering it's like waving a bloody steak in front of the wolves that is his audience.
Delusional that they were safe. And so I'll say again, America has the same problem. We brought millions of these people in.
And we think they're just going to be happy working construction jobs and sending some of the money home? Are you nuts?
Now see them boiling out on U.S. cities, including in Texas.
Boiling out?
Like ants out of an anthill or bees out of a beehive.
Or, I don't know, praying mantises out of a praying mantis house. Or baby spiders out of a nest on someone's face in a horror movie that goes or Tic Tacs out of a Tic Tac container that it has a crack in it.
And they're openly joining Black Lives Matter, saying overthrow America.
So Venezuelans who are fleeing the communist regime in Venezuela are coming to America and joining Black Lives Matter to overthrow America because they want it to be like the place they fled. Gee, I don't know why I thought you were an asshole this whole time.
So any way you slice it, these people on average are not going to assimilate. They are only going.
Yeah, they're not going to learn English. They're going to stick to that Portuguese or whatever that nonsense is.
Going to try to conquer us. They're allied with the Democratic Party.
Well, we've already got you conquered then, because we have the White House, and why would we have to fight if we control the elections and we run everything, and we own big tech and big government and big pharma and big military industrial complex and big everything, and all you've got is Mushroom Dick and his followers. Why would we even need to fight? I don't know. How do you revolt against your own revolution?
The Democratic Socialist,
other than just in general being revolting like you were.
The Marxist-Leninist, and that's another reason the border must be shut, and we need to deport all these people now. But
yes, get everyone out. Everyone, anybody who just looks brown-ish.
Regardless, when and if there are terror attacks in this country, I think it's only a matter of when, not if.
Right. Largely white supremacist and black supremacist groups. Those seem to be the two trigger groups right now.
We all need to hold the FBI and the Justice Department responsible.
Even if they weren't here when those people got in, or wasn't related to those folks, or if it's you and your followers, for example.
That have put tens of thousands of agents out there persecuting and prosecuting people that walked through velvet ropes on January 6th.
No, there's like a few hundred that are actually getting real jail time.
And going and harassing conservative parents that don't want CRT or
no, just the ones that threaten to murder the vice principal of a school.
Or drag queen pedophile time at their school boards.
Which is, again, that belongs on Alex Jones's phone, not around children. Except Alex Jones's children, I suppose.
Eternal focus on the American people while the gates are wide open and the Islamic hordes pour in is going to be the death of this country. And when
I see. I didn't realize that the Venezuelans or the women and children from South America that are largely Catholic are actually Islamic hordes.
you hold the establishment responsible for what they've done.
And the establishment would be both the uniparty Republicans and Democrats, largely the rhinos. I see. I blame Republicans.
Alex, you said your fear is that a trap's been laid for both Israel and the United States in this, and you've got, a new world order. They're rubbing it in our face coming out of Beijing with Putin and Xi rubbing up on each other.
Yeah, they're rubbing up on each other. That's the way I look at it.
You've got the Persians, you have the Turks.
The Persians and the Turks. You got the new Ottoman Empire and the Mongols. And I'm very concerned about Vikings at this point.
You have Egypt, these ancient civilizations.
Yeah, if they find a way to put engines underneath the pyramids and put them in satellite orbit around the Earth, and they can kind of link all three of them together and make kind of a submoon, they can influence the tides, and you're retaining water. How?
What is the trap? You fear a trap. What is that trap, sir?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. Iran is it's a trap. They took the $6 billion. Biden gave them
no
5 weeks ago, and then
no, they don't have access to that money.
Allocated the other money they had towards launching this jihad,
which cost about what, $40,000.
Then they can
dead serious. How much do they fucking think this cost? They were building these little missiles these rockets, the dumb rockets that they're sending over. They build them by hand. This isn't high-tech shit. You don't need $1 billion to pull off something like this.
Control.
And yes, he said, Biden.
The PR, and when the Israelis fight back, they can turn the world against Israel. And I think this is part of the Great Awakening.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think this is part of the Great Awakening is literally the last thing, and then they cut. Watch this. Hold on, shit. Wait 1 second. Wrong clip.
Control the PR, and when the Israelis fight back, they can turn the world against Israel. And I think this is part of the Great Awakening.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to wait till he gets on a roll. If you need any more evidence that Steve Bannon is more than likely an asset of the FBI or the CIA, literally created to fuck with these idiots, I gotta say, more and more I'm convinced by these clips that that's his gig. Holy hell. Anyways, I love you guys. I gotta finish with the show. Tomorrow I'll be doing the show from LA because I'm also going to be on John Fugelsang's show. And then I will be doing my show on Friday and the radio show on Saturday from LA. And then we've got Sexy Liberal, sexyliberal.com for tickets for the live stream of our show. Please get them now. I'm very excited about doing the show, and I'm more excited about the shows we're going to have going forward starting in January, because we're going to be out on the road, and I'm going to try and get us out into the nether regions with John and Frangela. If Steph doesn't want to go, I'm still working on it. Keep your fingers crossed. I'm working on a new agency, so if I can get them on board, that'd be a thing, and then off we go. But either way, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the show, liking, subscribing, being here, and considering the fact that I don't do clickbait fucking titles. I'm just, I dick around, and I'm kind of being cute with my titles, and I'm not creating these fucking, like fish hook titles that people do. The audience that we're growing here is pretty spectacular. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up. And I'm sorry when I can't be here, and it stresses me out. And I want you guys to know that, because I really do want to be here for you. And I will do my best to keep the quality of the show up, even as I'm on the road over the next little bit. So until I see you tomorrow at the regular time, 4 p.m. in Pacific in the afternoon, take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And remember, if you're ever confronted with a choice you believe is the lesser of two evils, choose less evil. Okay?